jump on. You see Ray's on now, and a couple people are jumping on. Love to talk with you guys. Perfect time to be attending these calls and really trying to get value from us right now because it's important that we're doing everything as well as we can, obviously. So talk to you guys shortly. See you. What's up, man?
Hey, Mike. How you doing?
Good. Sending out a Marco Polo to the group.
Okay.
Man. Where you guys at? It's been a little like I haven't got many Marco Polos lately. I feel like people are hiding out, like they're taking the stay-at-home stuff serious, but it's like the time to kind of get out and go.
Well, you can still hide out. I mean, you ain't going to catch it from like being honest. You ain't going to catch it through a microphone.
No, for sure. That's what I was figuring. Well, this is the time to be on the microphone, right? And I was just got done reading the whole Maryland. They consider realtors to be essential, and it's interesting how the brokers play it up. But they're like, even though the governor has made it legal to do showings, we don't think it's in the spirit of what he wants. And I'm thinking like, you guys are a trip with this stuff. You just like make stuff up.
I think it's on. Hannah and I were talking about this, but it's not that it's good, but it's your serious people are kind of self-selecting and staying in the market, and they're the ones that are.
Yeah.
Some people are taking every word down to the comma and the exclamation point that the media is pushing, and there's some people that are reasonably looking at what doctors are saying and what different organizations are, and they're making informed decisions based on it. And I think realistically, you're probably not going to want somebody that's going to be emotionally just huddled in the corner of their house coming out shopping for your house, because if anything else changes, they're going to be like a flake.
Yeah, they watched the wrong episode of the news and it's all over, right? And you're
So
like,
hopefully
hey, buy the house. Dr.
Hopefully
Oz
it's
said it
keeping
ain't
the
good.
serious people out there. Like you see realtors up around us, they're like, just, good news. I'm still in the business, and for all my properties, I'm doing virtual showings. And I'm like, you can't, like, they're basically what they're doing. And I saw 2 agents post this. They go up, they unlock the lockbox, they let the buyers in, and they say, hey, if you have any questions, take a picture and text me. I'll be waiting out front. And I'm like, you're setting yourself up for a bigger lawsuit, because if they go in and take something, now you weren't legally with them in the property.
Well, a lot of times they just let them run through like that anyhow, because I mean they shouldn't be up
On
there.
an occupied property?
Well, I don't think. Well, I guess yeah. I mean, like I said, I really believe occupied showings are going down. I'm still waiting. I put it in a showing from 5 days ago, and no one's responded still. So on an occupied property that I was trying to see a waterfront near us, that we were just looking at out of curiosity. I thought it was unoccupied. It's the only reason I booked it, but apparently it's not. But still, yeah, I hear what you're saying, and but at the same time, I mean, like I guess yeah, don't let your shady people run around.
Yeah, so we'll see.
I mean, I hear that, and some people are doing like virtual tours, and I think that's smart. The virtual tours. I mean, really, like I'm impressed with them just figuring it out, not like like you said, the goofballs are sitting home right now and saying, I can't leave. It's against the rules. And I've had 2 people tell me that. My brother, I mean, I hate to talk bad about my own brother, but he basically told me, like, I need to get a check today and get my medicine because he has like a thyroid disease. He's like, I want to get it because like I won't be able to work in the next couple of weeks because they're doing a mandatory stay at home. And I'm like, well, what has changed? He's like, well, they're making it against the law. They're going to arrest you. I'm like, but have you determined that they're changing like the status of us being essential? And he's like, oh, I'm sure everyone's staying home. There's a curfew and everything. So I'm like freaking out. I'm like, oh, dude, that would be awful if they did that. Like that really would truly be bad. I have a lot of solutions, but there's some things we don't have as many solutions for. I just got done reading all the details today, and they literally had changed nothing. Everything's the same. You can go see properties. They're considering real estate people, construction people essential. And, they're just so they, this is what the realtor board loves to do. They love to say things like, well, even though it's not against the rules, we think in the spirit, you should just stop doing showings or, I'm thinking like, okay, in the spirit, you can kiss my spirit right on the butthole because like, that's stupid. I mean, I'm not saying like, if there's a vacant house that you can show your clients, like go take them there and show it to them. So, and honestly, really, I'm okay if they want to send their clients there without them. Right now I'm okay with whatever, right? Give your clients a lockbox and let them see it. I don't know if that's legal, but I would be cool with it. Like I want showing, so I wouldn't want anything to do. So I think that, like you said, Ray, and I think it's a really good point. We're going to weed out some of the people that are serious and some of the agents.
There would have been headaches
really
anyway,
good.
man.
Yeah, they might have been completely incompetent. Anyway. Yeah, so they're probably only going to be left with like less agents running around and less buyers, but serious ones, right? Like people who are legitimately serious that want to buy. Because I can tell you the ones that came in on this house we just listed a few days ago, they were like hardcore serious agents, man. They were driving me insane. Like my phone was on fire, and I was like, dude, I was like, I need a restraining order. This I don't even know how to explain. They were like texting me. They were hitting me up on Facebook. I got like all these new friends on Facebook, and I'm like, they were doing that's my, I have I don't know if you ever heard, we have like a Stalker X for when we're trying to find people. We were trying to get offers in off the MLS. I think I've told you before how we just go basically like text them with the squirrels, hit them with that, email them, call their broker, call anyone they've ever talked to. We had lunch with this guy last week, hit them up on Facebook, friend them there, send them out a messenger. You can basically do so many things, and eventually they'll answer you in some platform.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they're doing to me. I'm like, you guys are like using my stuff on me. They were going insane down there. So you're right. It is interesting when you see like really good agents, like this really big concentration of awesome agents that are problem solving. It's pretty interesting how strong the
It might
offers
thin
were.
down the realtor field too of agents that are just.
Well, you know what I seen on this last property,
I
right?
think it's going to thin down a lot of businesses, and it's a shame, but it's and I don't say it like maliciously, but it's going to thin down a lot of businesses kind of across the board that some are going to take unfortunate hits, but it's I think it's going to weed out a lot of the people that just weren't serious across, like maybe for investing, they weren't really serious as realtors, they weren't really serious, kind of fill in the blank. Because at some point, like you're going to have to be able to endure some, in 8 and 09 and 10, and it was the banking crisis, and so all these people talk about the stuff they made it through. So
True. I agree. I mean, do you feel like there was a lot of businesses that copped up in the last like 3 to 5 years that were basically just getting by with the economy just being so amazing, but really weren't actually bringing a lot of value?
probably. I mean, we saw a lot more competition for the stuff we're buying.
Yeah, I
So if
noticed that
that's
too.
yeah, I mean, I don't, and now I'm seeing, like I was telling you earlier, I'm seeing investors that we know that are probably, have been doing it for a little bit, but they're telling me, and I'm asking them like, which deal did you just back out on? Because that's the stuff I'm trying to go in and scoop up.
Yeah,
Like this
for
one guy
sure.
backed out on 2 HUD properties, and I'm like, what did you have them under contract for? So I feel like it's a good time, like if other investors, if they're kind of playing if they're a little hesitant with this, I feel like now is a really good time to go in and be like very opportunistic on deals that they don't want, but the banks still want to sell them.
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunity. I mean, I just took a picture of what I'm doing. I'm out seeing properties. That's my real highly professional CRM. You guys everyone know how I roll, but this is I'm out there looking at properties. I even found an app. It's called Root for Me, and you can actually put all your properties in at once and go see them, and it'll tell you the most optimal route to take to see them all. So that was kind of cool. That was a little discovery for everyone because I went out and seen, well, it's 10 properties, and I seen like 6 of them one day, and then like 5 the other, and or 4 the other, or something like that. It was like 4 yesterday, and of the 10 I went and seen, didn't take that long because I kind of planned it out well, my route for me. And yeah, I got through them quickly, took videos of them. They're all empty. I'm kind of pumped right now because, like I said, I'm seeing vacant properties just going crazy because, showing other properties is not so easy right now. So
Yeah.
it's been pretty cool. So basically, I will say this: the last house I sold, which was only so put it under contract Monday or Sunday morning, something like that. So just a few days ago, and it's one of the first times I can ever tell you that I had 9 offers, and the top 4 offers legitimately were within $1,000, and they were so strong and so good that I had a hard time deciding. I literally had to go back to the top 4 and beg them to make a change just so one of them would stand out. When it was all said and done, I got one to offer $3K more and take the home inspection off, and that was legitimately the winner. And
Wow.
and it's very unusual. Usually when I get one person to jump out, and then there's a lot of people that are in, but they're not all that strong. Maybe their financing isn't perfect, a lot of things. But this time was the first time where I had people who were government workers, husband's contractor, just really strong essential jobs, credit great, really strong agent, mortgage broker, everything around them. It was difficult to make a decision. No one was standing out. So I think your point of that, yes, there might be some agents that are staying home, but a lot of the ones that are out there right now are actually legitimately pretty serious agents that are coming with like strong clients. That seemed very real because I only had like 2 people out of 9 that I was like, nah. I'm not working with them. And one lady, I called her at 10:30 in the morning, and she was like, "Oh, I just woke up. I was asleep. And who's this? And what house you talking about?" And I was literally taking notes, saying, "I don't need this. I got too many strong offers. You're dealing with somebody that's sleeping at 10 o'clock and they don't have a night job." You know what I mean?
So on your offers, and I have a question for you, because here's one thing, not that we're struggling with, but we definitely want to try and uncover a little bit more and get better at. How do you typically, like, is there a, a better way to vet a lender? Because obviously, right, when they're trying to push you to accept, when a realtor is trying to push you to accept their buyer and the lender's trying to say, you know, they're the best buyer, they've been qualified 1,000 times. How do you vet? Like, what kind of stuff are you asking? Because I feel like that's one thing that Hannah and I have both discussed that we want to try and get better at doing. Instead of, like, are there stronger questions that you ask?
Do you have, other than your recent situation, is it common that you have people that fall apart? I mean, from like just from like the financing sucked or whatever.
Not common that it falls apart. But like even the guy that we're with now that went back under contract at 350 after the parole guy fell apart.
Mhm.
Um, we thought that he was like fully underwritten and everything, and he is. But
What?
That's not the issue. The lender has nothing to do with the issue.
do you have to get underwritten each time you put a contract on a different property?
I mean,
Or what?
I guess. I mean, I don't know. I mean, for the most part, well, here's what we call underwritten, right? I mean, underwritten, yes, it's going to have to be, they're going to have to underwrite the property, yes. But fully qualified, meaning like they already have all his loan docs, they already have like, all of his proof of employment, and they have everything. That's something, because a lot of times they do, like they run people's credit and say they're good to go, right? But that's going to be called like a pre-qualification, or I think they even might be the difference of like qualified or pre-approved, right? So
Okay.
pre-approved, and it could be different in every state, right? But pre-approved to me means that they literally have looked at like their W-2s, they've got proof, they got job verification, they have all their documents in hand and they verified all of them. That's pre-approved
Okay.
to me versus like pre-qualified. Pre-qualified, like they just pull their credit, get you to tell them a few things without verifying those things, and basically say, okay, based on everything you told me, you're pre-qualified, or you're qualified, right? So
Okay.
I think, and that's how I understand it. Micah's in the industry, and obviously Nikki is too, very much. So if you guys think I'm wrong on any of that, or if there's a different understanding, please chime in. But that's what I thought, pre-approved versus pre-qualified. I always want people to be pre-qualified, and so I will ask the question of like, hey, have you gotten all their documentation in? So that's one of the things that would kind of indicate whether this person's jumping, actually being very proactive.
Yeah,
And
Micah,
can you put in the contract too? We were wondering this, like, don't you put in, like, can you actually put in the contract that, like we have our attorney review, but after within 10 days of close of attorney review that the home inspection has to be done and the appraisal at least, like, can you force them to when they schedule the appraisal?
sure.
Because
I
that was
mean,
like, I feel like if they would have done the appraisal on the parole guy, it would have brought all this stuff to the surface instead of 2 days before closing. He
yeah.
drug his feet on the appraisal. So I didn't know if you could force the appraisal in the
I
contract.
mean, I certainly always do 10 days is what I try to do for home inspections. And
Okay.
because I think anything slower than that's really slow, especially on a 30-day settlement. I'm assuming this is all based on 30-day settlement.
Yeah.
So you might be like 10 days on home inspection, 14 days on, appraisal be scheduled even, right? Something like that. Just putting any deadline to it is good, because we recently had one where I was like, well, I was actually for David, one of the mastermind students, and like it was legitimately like the day before settlement. They're like, "Oh, we haven't done the appraisal," and I'm like, "This happens all the time in bad neighborhoods." And my mom was like, "I've been on them, but like with the corona, they're like, oh, we're short on people and all that." And eventually they just did a drive-by appraisal, which I guess is this new thing because they don't want to go in the houses. But
Yeah.
Micah, did you have something you wanted to add? Because I was curious, like what your understanding. And we'll talk a little bit after he's done. We'll talk a little bit about some of the things I do to try to qualify, and any other suggestions from the group would be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I think pre-qual versus pre-approval is different to different people, different things to different people. I ask them always if they've looked at the income docs, if they pull credit. That's all I really care about. If they look at income docs, including bank statements, and they pulled credit, they have a really good idea. Sometimes, though, I can get my buddies who are in the lending business to write just in a conversation. If I'm in a hurry, it's over the weekend. Relationally, I can get them to write me I just tell them what to put, and they'll do it on a relationship because they trust me. So you do have to be careful of that. I would just
Mm-hmm.
say to always ask the lender if they've looked at the income docs. Because
Yeah.
if they've taken the time to look at income docs, they've definitely pulled credit, and they typically, at the same time as they're getting income docs, they're getting bank statements. And you just want to make sure there's enough money in there sourced, enough money for the down payment in the savings account. It can't be coming. It's got to be in there.
Yeah.
If it's going to be coming, there's got to be a good reason as to how it's coming. Like I just got a guy in a contract last night. He needed to bring 60 grand to the table, and 45 it was from the sale of a mobile home. So we needed
Sale of a mobile home, huh?
they had to get a bill of sale and sign off title. They had to see the money wasn't in the account yet, but we saw the bill of sale and the deposit slip. So, yeah, I mean, there's just different things you want to ask. If you're the seller, you want to ask the lender, and it offends them sometimes because they assume like.
Dude, I love when they get offended because you know what? If it offends them, it tells you who you're working with. Like if someone gets like the really high level dudes are not offended, they're just happy to be on the phone with you and have the opportunity to get this deal done. They know if you're talking to them that it's a it's a conversation like I'm literally trying to do this deal with you. Because if I got on the phone with you, it's not that I'm doubting you. I'm trying to get a deal done. So the high level guys generally are like really cool about it. And some of the low level goofballs are like, and the ones who get real defensive about it, that really for me is definitely a check mark against them. Because if I don't want to share that information, I just make the assumption they haven't done what they were supposed to do. So, I mean, and I can tell you that like I'm basing that on like a really long history of people getting butthurt when I ask these questions. And then like somehow we go under contract with them and they totally didn't do anything they said. Right?
And we had a
deal
last week. We had multiple offers as listing agents, and we called the lender to ask these questions. He wouldn't return our calls. I'm like,
yeah, there you go, right?
And he was one of the two strongest buyers, and they lost because it.
Oops, I think we lost Micah for a second there. Oh, I didn't cut him off, but well, he'll be back in a second. So basically he was saying, it sounded like he was saying that like, the guy hadn't done his job. So I do believe, so here's some of the things I look for, right? When Ray, you're asking the question, how do we pre-qualify the loan? You can't always get everything you need to be 100% certain on a loan. I'm going to give you an example of what I used to do back in the day when my realtor wasn't great. He was a high level realtor, considered to be one of the best in the state, but he just always had things seem like things went wrong. And the way my brain works is I believe anything that consistently goes wrong over and over can be stopped. Right. It can be, somewhat minimized or prevented. Like, I don't believe in like, oh God, the house flipping gods are against me. I mean, they are against me when I don't do what I'm supposed to do. Right. Yes, for sure. So, but when I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, the house flipping gods are pretty favorable to me. So the reality is I believe this, and I had an agent who like constantly deals kept falling apart, and he's, a really great agent, but he wasn't really critical thinker. Right. He was one of these high five, hug everybody, very outgoing. Is like he was a hairstylist and stuff. He just was super over the top. We always thought he was gay. We had a lot of kids, but he could have been. Who knows? He certainly had that feminine like energy, right? And he would just go around. I mean, he's a super cool guy, right? Love hanging out with him, but I'm, how I am. I'm like to the point. I'm like, I want to know, make this clear to me. I kind of want answers. I don't want to just go off what we think. So he had a lot of stuff falling apart. So what we eventually thought to do was we had our mortgage broker who we liked that would go over all their stuff and look at it for us and verify they'd done their job. The mortgage broker had done their job. First of all, that was difficult to get people to do. And we could convince them, though, like anything in the world. Problem is our mortgage broker would start trying to convince people to go with him and give them a better rate. And then that became a little unethical. So we realized that it doesn't necessarily all come down to mortgage broker. It's a team thing. So I look at multiple points now. I don't just look at the mortgage broker, but I'm looking at the agent I'm dealing with. Because if I'm dealing with an agent who has their shit together and essentially like it's in their best interest to control the situation they're in, then I know they're not going to use a mortgage broker who doesn't actually get people pre-qualified. So I might say something along the lines of like, hey, tell me a little bit about your relationship with your mortgage broker. And in this mortgage broker you're using, is it your mortgage broker? Is it theirs? And I always ask that question right up front. I can tell you conclusively, right? This is going to be conclusively. If the mortgage broker is a mortgage broker that the agent has a long relationship with, you're in a much better position than if the mortgage broker or whoever they're getting the mortgage from was from the buyer, right? Like the buyer called Quicken Loans or Wells Fargo or something like that. That's going to be way out of the control of the real estate agent. And it also shows a little bit of that the real estate agent isn't the trusted advisor, right? We want to get in deals where the real estate agent, the buyer's basically like, hey, real estate agent, you're the one, tell us what to do, right? We want that real estate agent to be the trusted advisor. So they're like, oh, here's my mortgage guy, here's my inspector, here's the people I know are going to be actually pretty freaking good and aren't going to set us up for failure. What we don't want is when they come and they're like Wells Fargo and like, you know, some random dude and you got to go to a 1-800 number and it's brutal. Quicking Loans would be a great example of that. Like I have a horrible track record with them, like just horrible. They literally like they pre-qualify. I don't even know what they pre-qualify on. Just basically like a, you know, some kind of verbal word or something. It's really awful. So, but if it's somebody they've done business with, what I found is high-level agents will make it their business to get rid of people who have not consistently kept up with getting the settlement. So if they're like, no, I've been working with this guy for a long time and like he gets it done every single time. I know a lot of people just say that, but when I hear that and it's pretty convincing, that's a little star for me, right? That's a positive thing in the right direction. And I'll ask the same question around. I was also able to get on this 9 offers, I was able to get 4 of them to take off the home inspection because I just mentioned that other offers had taken off the home inspection. So, I mean, only 1 of them actually went like completely as is, but 3 of them went like as is with the right to terminate. So just mentioning the fact that others, you know, and, you know, people are kind of like, you know, they're not as big on that. Anyhow, that being said, I'm looking for the agent, right? Because I feel like if the agent has no control over the mortgage broker, regardless if it's a trusted source or not, it's just going to go worse, right? Because the agent is going to have, that broker's not going to have anyone they need to keep happy. Like they're not going to care about one client. But I promise you, if a broker is a long relationship with an agent, and that agent is giving them 20, 30, 40 transactions a year, well, they're going to go above and beyond to make sure they've done their job correctly, to make sure they're controlling the environment. So if that's my first thing, is that there is a relationship between the mortgage broker and the agent, and you know, and that agent can clearly say like, this guy gets it done. So I love that, right? What I'm also looking for right now is if I hear any kind of like, well, we need 60 days to settle because the mortgage broker says, you know, we might as well take like 60 days, man, because we don't know what's going on. Well, I got a couple of those offers and I threw those right in the trash because I had other offers like we can settle in 3.5, 4 weeks. Like, nope, we already found a way around it. And I'm thinking, okay, that's the winners, right? Not some dude who's like, well, I just don't know what's going to happen. I don't want to put any pressure on my clients. I'm like, okay. And then the mortgage broker's like, yeah, we should just make sure. And I'm thinking like, you guys have never met a deadline, right? You guys don't sound like you're big on meeting deadlines. So you can see it's like reading in between the lines with a lot of this stuff. So first of all, I mean, I'm really rating the agent. If you talk with the mortgage broker, I would say there's no better way to get a good feel for what kind of quality person the mortgage broker is than to get on the phone with them and just say, hey man, I just want to check in with you. We got a lot of offers. And, you know, Ray, I assume that you've underwritten some of this stuff, but can you mind telling me a little bit about the client, anything you think that would be important that would, you know, make their offer look better? And they'll usually tell you. The best ones will be like, look, man, these people are cool. They're good people. They got good credit. You know, we've done all these things. And if they volunteer all that, then, you know, I'm usually pretty impressed. And most of them will, by the way. The ones that won't, I'm going to try to dig it out of them. Like, hey, you know, you're not giving me a lot of information on it. And it could really go a long ways if you could give me some vital information as to, you know, what makes your client stand out, right? What makes this mortgage stand out for you? And if they just won't tell me anything, I basically assume that they don't have nothing good to say, essentially, right? That's the way I have to assume it. Now, I'm hoping, I could be wrong, but then that gets on them. They should be communicating and selling their client that I've underwritten this loan. I've done a good job. I get stuff done. I generally say like one thing, like, hey man, just tell me what, you know, what's important or what do I need to know about your client that would make this offer stand out? Every single one of them generally will be like, dude, these guys got good credit. They'll just start going right into qualifying their client. Which is what I want to hear, by the way. I want to hear good stuff. You know, if I hear a bunch of excuses before we even got under contract, then I kind of weed them out. So that's all you can really do. Honestly, you just ask a lot of questions. You talk with everyone. The reason I did all 9 of those phone calls last, you know, on this weekend, I was doing phone calls all day is because I personally feel like when I hear it with my own ears, I'm able to hear some of the things that aren't lining up. So, you know, I have some people talk about like one lady was like, no, we're really strong. And I'm like, hey, put your multiple offer in. Like, you know, look, you know, this is way underpriced and, you know, this is going to comp really well. And she was like, yeah, I know. But, you know, this whole Corona thing, after I talked to her for 15 minutes, she started to talk about, well, I don't want them to offer too much because I worried about where the market is and they might come back and try to sue me like later if the value goes down. As soon as she said that, I mean, I put her right to the bottom of the list. I'm thinking like, I didn't know who I want to do business with. she's already pre-building in excuses, right? But like most of the people I talked to had almost no excuses. They were just complete winners. And I think you're right, Ray. I think some of the people were actually like being weeded out. So personally, I just make sure that I'm qualifying the mortgage broker, qualifying the agent. And the more conversations I have, I am taking notes. I have a little spreadsheet where I take notes and I'm looking at what they're saying, how they're saying it. You know, I'm making an assessment of like, am I dealing with someone who knows how to get a deal done? Because when you deal with people who know how to get a deal done, they kind of take out excuses. They start being proactive around like making sure like financing doesn't fall apart, that their clients are 100%. Some of the best buyers agents you'll ever meet are really literally going to be like, do not take me to see a property unless you're 100% sure. And they're okay being that way because they don't believe in just riding around with people. They believe in you. When you're ready, I'll take you out. And when you are, you're going to get all this other stuff in line so that when we get a house, you can fight for it, right? They're going to be setting expectations. I would certainly be doing that if I was an agent too, because last thing you need is, you know, they get in there and they kind of like it and then they just miss out on it and they get all butthurt at you because they didn't get the deal. So qualifying the mortgage broker, you're only going to be able to do so much. A lot of this is going to be from feel, right? You're going to have to just get a feel around like, you know, how willing are they to qualify themselves? My opinion is if someone's willing to qualify themselves, it shows me that they're willing to accommodate, right? If I say, hey man, tell me a little bit about your client, and they're like, no, hey Ray, I want to, like, this is a deal, we want to get this done. They tend to be very accommodating. But if I get a guy, it's like, dude, you know, I don't really need to tell you, look, they're qualified, that's all I'm going to tell you. If I get that from someone, I feel like, oh cool, you can't even like take a second to try to convince me of why this offer should get done. You kind of care, you act like you don't really care if you get the deal or not, right? And when they take that approach with me, I'm definitely devaluing them. But the good news is most people actually take a very positive approach because, you know, right now, a lot of their clients are losing deals and they really would like to see their clients win deals. So you're not going to get, I can tell you since I've started doing this, that my fallout rate has been cut by 70% from what my old agent would have. So I'm able to get that fallout rate down huge. So that's pretty important right now. Just get really qualified. I am looking for, right now, I'm not really accepting offers if people have jobs that are unsecure, right? I'm looking like contracting is very secure right now. Anything to do with government, you know, anything that's essential is very secure right now. So I'm only accepting contracts from them. And I'm actually hearing from a lot of people like, hey, they have secure jobs that are very essential. So they're really good buyers. They're very serious about this move. A lot of people are qualifying themselves right now and telling me, hey, Mike, like not only is my client pretty awesome, but like they have really great jobs. So you're hearing that from people. So that's good. And I kind of like, cool, I want to hear that. And I want to know that, right? I want to know that we got some good stuff going on. So ultimately, what else do you guys have? So that would be basically what I would do, Ray, is just as you get into this, just, you know, doing that qualifying and talking to everyone and getting a feel for what they're saying and reading in between the lines. It's kind of what you have to do. And the more you do it, the better you get. You know, get used to saying your script so that you can, when you're done saying the script, you don't have to think about it. You can actually listen to what they're saying and how they're saying it and anything, right? So this is basically going to be conversational skills, but anything they say that doesn't add up or make sense, no, Hannah, and for Hannah, this is really for Hannah because she'll be making these calls, right? So, and Ray, you'll just be behind her saying, Hannah, ask this, and like messing up her flow. So you can't stop that, man. You're messing up her groove. So, Hannah, anytime they say something that doesn't make sense, then just know that it's your job to like not let it go by and to dig in. So they say something, just say, oh, I noticed you said this. Can you expand a little bit on that and tell me more about that? Oh, that's interesting. Do you mind sharing a little more about that? And then just let them talk and shut up. And they'll literally just go into things because people really, really difficult for them not to snitch on themselves. I mean, I literally have had conversations with people just recently who were just like, oh, we're so great. We're so great. But this one thing. And then 10 minutes in, they're like, but this one thing. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, man, it sounds like you guys are great. Tell me a little more about that one thing. And they're like, well, you know, it's not a big deal. You know, it's just this, this, and this. Okay, yeah, man. I mean, well, you know, it sounds like it's something you guys are a little concerned about. You know, I mean, you want to dive in a little more? What made you concerned, right? We just keep talking about it, and they just keep, next thing you know, they're just full disclosing everything they shouldn't be telling. So, you know, that's what it takes. The more you conversate, and the more you don't glaze over anything that doesn't add up, the more likely you are going to pick up on these very, very, I would call them very small cues, right? They're not obvious all the time. They're very small cues that you want to start learning to pick up on when you're listening and having these conversations. Because, and this is very true when you're talking to motivated sellers, when you're talking with anyone, because people just tend to kind of like have tells, right? I read a book on like facial expressions and how you can tell when people are lying and all that, because it's really interesting when you pay attention to people. They will change the way they talk. they use very super vague language like, well, I think we're all good. No, I think all the mortgage is great. Just saying think makes me say, oh, you think? Yeah, tell me a little more about it. Like, I mean, where are you at exactly? Right? Because I know as soon as they start using that language, they're almost basically telling you, I don't want to fully commit because I know I'm lying. Like, that's essentially when people start lying or not being 100% confident. They don't want to fully commit to saying like, no, this is 100%, Ray. We are totally good. They're like, oh, no, this guy's usually good. And I think he's got everything. This one should be fine. Like, oh, should be? Tell me a little bit about what you mean by should, right? Oh, yeah, no, yeah, it's all good, man. He's usually good. Oh, you said usually? Well, tell me then. I'm like, hey, why don't you walk me through? Why don't we stop and just walk through everything you've gotten done so far so we can, and this, by the way, is really good to learn for your contractors, for motivated sellers, because contractors like to use the same language. They like to tell you everything should be fine, or I'm almost done, and I'm like, oh, are you done? Here's what I love asking. Hey, Ray, are you 100% done? Oh, yeah, we're 100% done. Now, when I say 100% done, that means there's nothing left. Oh, yeah. Everything, we're 100% done except for this thing. I'm like, okay, that's the opposite of being 100% done, dude. You'll hear that many times in your life. TJ, I'm sure you've heard that, right? I mean, everyone's heard that at some point. I'm 100% done, except for these three things, which means technically I am not done. But
yeah, that's what I tell them. It's like, is your parachute 100% packed?
Yes. Now, if it was a parachute, it would be a different story for sure.
Exactly.
But when it's work, I mean, they just want to get paid, and that's what it is. So, I mean, honestly, I think it's about that communication stuff. And when you think of that lesson a little bit, just think of like how you can read between the lines. I'm binding if I talk to everyone. I'm very inquisitive. I ask questions. And keep in mind, I get to talk to some of these people 2 or 3 times. And I'm also paying attention as I go back and ask for highest and best a second time and a third time that, I'm just seeing if anything changes. Honestly, I can tell you I talked to 2 or 3 people out of the 9 offers that were super gung-ho, and by the time I asked them to do highest and best, they kind of just fell off the board a little bit, right? They kind of disappeared, which I think was everything I needed to know, right? That in itself kind of weeded them out, like we've talked about before. Pressing on people will weed out and tell you how serious they are, right? So I don't beg anyone that doesn't call back. If I tell somebody highest and best, I don't hear back from them, I'm assuming they don't really want the deal, right? And then I put all my focus on the people who respond to the highest and best of the 9 people. And it was about 4 or 5 people that were actively in the game, and like 3 people just fell right off. Couldn't even. And their offers weren't bad or anything. They had solid offers. They just kind of like, I guess their clients lost interest, or their clients weren't all that serious and weren't willing to compete. And when we get 9 offers, we really want to focus on who's willing to compete, right? Who's going to buy this house right now and give zero excuses getting the settlement. Because we tend to pick people, and this is how I've picked in the past, people I like and people I got along with on the phone. When I use this technique, I got to be a little more of a hard butt, but I tend to weed people out, piss some people off. But I have to tell you, the people that I so easily piss off by just asking a couple questions, they're quitters, man. That's the people that are going to quit on your deal right in the middle of it when things get hard. But the people that can stand in the fire and like answer all the questions and like really sell their clients are the people who generally like come up with no excuses and just be like, yep, this happened, but here's what we're doing. And that's who you want to work with, right? It's a joy to work with people like that. And I would say that's the same thing is true when you're interviewing your contractors, right? If you can give them a little shit, you can ask them some questions, like really qualify them, and they stand up and like, no, dude, this is it. That's going to be a better person than someone you feel like you have to, I've had people where I've just basically said some basic stuff to them and they've like got super defensive. Like, what do you mean? Like, I just do this how I do it, man. I don't know, man. You're not going to tell me how to do it. And I'm like, whoa, I didn't say any of that. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you're telling me I don't know what I'm doing. They start going, I'm just like, dude, you got to go, man. See ya. Like, I can't deal with that shit. I'll talk around it a little bit, but then I'm just like, yeah, man, I'm not going to deal with that. Because the right people never do that. The good people are always like, yeah, man, no problem. Like, I got a guy editing my podcast in Sylvania, and I called and said, hey, man, my podcast sounded a little distorted. And he's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, I don't know. And he's like, I'm like, here, try and just do this. And he's like, okay, sounds good. Let me see what I can do. If he'd been like, if he'd have been like, nah, dude, it's good. And I don't know, if he'd gave me any kind of shit, I just would have fired him, honestly. So, I just think that's the way it has to be. Because, I don't know, unless you like taking shit, I certainly don't. I don't really have a lot of energy for it. So let's talk a little bit about construction. I think one of the big things going on right now, obviously, is I know TJ's dealing with this, and some other people are too, potentially will be, any kind of construction delays on like permits getting in, stuff like that.
Yeah, I called the county today. I was on the phone for over an hour and a half, essentially begging them to come out and inspect the place. And finally, I got an inspection date of the 6th. Took
Sweet.
me, probably took me 6 hours of actual phone calls.
Dude, but that's not quitting. So great job on that, man. That's so it is possible. It just isn't easy.
Yeah.
I've been trying to cancel my cable for a week and they keep hanging up on me after I'm on the phone for an hour and they just say, oh, let me put you to this guy. He'll take care of you. Click. I'm like, you fucker. And so I'm like, I got a lot of excuses around canceling my cable right now, but I realize if I commit a few more hours to it, I probably can get it done. They are being, there's a lot of Corona excuses going on right now. A lot of people are like, oh, we're overwhelmed. And
Well,
I'm just trying to cancel my cable, man. I've been paying for it for a year.
well, they're telling me they're only not doing uninhabited residences, but if it's inhabitable now, like so to say, you could live there, they won't go. So it has
Oh,
to.
got it. Yeah. So, but you would always be considered like you can't live there, right? Because it's not complete until it's 100% complete.
But with the house we're doing, the other house we're doing on Furnace Branch Road, you technically could live there right now. So
Well, are you pulling permits on that?
no, but if you
Oh,
were,
good.
they wouldn't do it. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
got it. Because I mean, I would say with the state they're in right now, I'm not pulling permits on anything. I don't have to. You got busted on that one, so you had to pull permits, right?
Yeah, third day.
Yeah. So you didn't have no choice. But I mean, right now, I'm not pulling permits on anything that because I feel like they're understaffed and a lot of them are staying home. So I mean, especially if it's like on the fence. So okay, cool. So you got an inspection date. That's good. Is there anything else you can do like outside of the house or? Because I mean, we've had these problems when things slow down. We'll go out and like paint the outside, we landscape the outside, we do all kind of stuff.
That's all done.
All done. So
Yeah.
you really are just waiting on rough ends then, and once you get past that, you can really rock and roll and get this thing done.
Yeah, outside's painted, roof's done, windows are all in, yard's cleaned up, and I'm not going to put landscaping in until I know there's nobody tracking back and forth with drywall and stuff like that. Because
Yeah, but you're all good to go. It won't take you but a day or two to do that anyhow, right?
right,
Yeah, so that's not a big deal. That's what when I say landscaping, I do mean like what I call rough landscaping, just getting all the trees cut, get everything ready. And I even might sometimes do the beds, but then just not put any flowers in them until
yeah,
until
that's
it's
all
time.
done.
Okay, cool. So the 6 is not far away. It's like 6 days or 7 days, so a week away. I guess next Tuesday that is.
Yeah, and then I have my 6. Yeah, was it 31st?
Well, let me ask you a question. Since you're waiting so long and it's so difficult to get one, this might be a good time to talk to your electrician, plumber, and HVAC guy and have them do a double check on everything and just say, guys, like it's extremely difficult to get like an inspection right now. Would you mind just double checking all your work and just like trying to be proactive on anything that might fail? And
They already passed. All
oh,
those
there are.
those guys are all passed.
So what is it that you're trying to get done then? Insulation?
Just the plumbing inspection is on the 6th.
Oh, got it. Yeah. Okay. So the same thing though. Just do that with him is what I'm getting at then.
Yeah,
Like plumber, just make sure, hey, plumber, dude. Like I know it's like a little annoying, but anything you could do. I mean, these things like this go a long ways because plumbers like kind of slap stuff together and almost wait for the inspector to tell them what they want done, what they want fixed. So if they, they're thinking like it ain't easy to get another person out, and I would prefer not to wait another week or two to get a re-inspection. It'd be awesome. And then also, I guess you probably can't call insulation in until because you got to call framing in after that, then insulation. So,
Yeah. So I had the framing installations on the 7th, or what is it?
like the day after or something.
Day after. Yeah,
All right.
because I did both of them.
All right, so you got them all good then, man. So you basically solved some problems then. And your furnace branch, is that all complete, right? That's all done?
No, I'm waiting on Nikki to see what color she wants to paint it right now.
The outside?
No, the inside. We're just lipstick it,
Gray.
lipstick on, and then
Yeah, I'll just tell you it's gray, man.
yeah, gray and white ceiling. I don't care.
Pretty much. I mean, like you can't really, it's hard to pick any other color right now because like any other color, you take the risk of people not liking it. You can't really go tan anymore. But some version of gray and white, get on it. So you can take your downtime then and try to knock out Furnace Branch, get that on the market so you can knock that one out. And then, it all works out, it sounds like.
Yeah, we did dry locked the basement yesterday. The whole house is emptied and power washed it, and it's all ready to go. Just gotta paint it. That's
Okay.
Day.
Cool. Well, I mean, it's vacant. So right now, vacant properties are actually showing very well. We're seeing a huge upturn in showings and saleability right now. Things that don't have people in them sitting around in their socks, like people just sitting around watching Netflix. It's not really good. Not good for the environment of showing houses. Okay. Any questions you guys have for me?
Where do you see the market going in the next couple months as far
I
as
mean,
for us?
I can tell you that right now. So the big thing I've been kind of sharing with everyone, and I've been really researching, and I could change this next week, but based on everything that I've been really really deeply researching over the last couple weeks, and I've not just been. This isn't just something I believe. I've been running this by a lot of different people across the country, a lot of other rehabbers, a lot of my coaches, just a lot of my resources, and like real estate in general, right? You can't ever just lump it together. When people, you'll hear things like the real estate market's crashing. Right. Okay. So the real estate market is actually essentially built up of like many micro markets. So when they say the real estate market is crashing, the first question it should always be asked is like, what real estate market? Commercial, luxury homes, vacation homes, Ocean City properties, right? I mean, 4,000 square foot homes, 1,000 square foot homes, first time home buyer, the hood, right? Baltimore City, Baltimore County, AA County, right? Allegheny County, California, Texas, right? There's fuck ton of different stuff out there. You get that, right? There's literally in every economy, even in 2008, there was markets in 2008, 9, and 10 that did not go down, that literally still went up consistently in those years. So when they were like the market was crashing, it was a very true statement overall, but there was many markets that weren't. So what I would say that I'm going to focus on now and how I'm going to be adjusting is in 8, 9, and 10, what we've seen as still being a very viable market that actually was very strong was like first time home buyer houses. So I'm avoiding anything that's in the hood. So like anything under 200K, probably going to stay away. Like, yours is not in the hood. You're selling something under 200K in a neighborhood where nothing's 200K. So that's actually pretty valuable, selling your furnished branch house. But I'm talking little row homes in Baltimore that are selling for like 160 renovated. I'm probably going to be doing less of those. And I already was heading in that direction anyhow, because I've been seeing my highest result come from 200 to 300,000. Because what I'm going to start focusing, I'm going to stay away from high end properties too. So, Baltimore, DC, Virginia is third biggest economy in the country. So we have a lot of government. We have a lot of stability around jobs. So knowing that we have that stability, what we want to focus on and how we want to shift is we want to figure out what micro market is going to actually do well while other markets don't do well. And again, when I say they don't do well, I'm just saying they're more likely to not do well. So I probably don't want to focus on a 4, 5, 600K house right now. I'm really focusing on 2 to 300K. Doesn't mean I won't take a 350 in Linthicum, because, Linthicum is really strong. Linthicum has a really, really serious problem with good inventory, right? And that's what I want to focus on. A question I want to ask myself, any house I buy, is there other inventory that competes with me that I would not be able to easily beat? The answer is, like on your house in Brooklyn Park, the answer is no, right? You're going to be putting an awesome house out. There's very little inventory in that area that's rehabbed, if any at all. And it's just a really low inventory time right now. So the market for us, and we didn't see a huge downturn in 2008, 9, and 10, but specifically on first-time home buyer houses, vacant houses, and you putting a great property out. You guys already do a lot of these things, right? TJ and you and Nikki put together a great home, right? No one's ever said your homes weren't absolutely beautiful. When you have an absolutely beautiful home, it's priced well, and it is designed for that part of the market that's still going to be doing very well. It's very difficult not to be able to sell a home. Like I never, and like we've got some crazy stuff going on right now, but it was way more crazy in 2009 and 10, believe me, because there was people that wanted to buy homes and they just couldn't get the financing. Right now, the money's actually insanely easy to get, and it's cheaper than ever, and it's just flowing right now, right? So money is very easy to get. And so our focus is going to be like taking and focusing on the micro market of homes that are pretty affordable, a little nicer than the hood, right? So meaning like we're working with like these, what we call essential people. We're going to be selling to essential people right now, right? So think of your buyer's pool when you're buying a house and think like, who buys this house? And if it's a doctor, a lawyer, or someone who's a higher income person, those type of people might be buying down right now. They might not be buying big luxury homes. So I probably wouldn't be doing that. They might not be buying homes at all because they like to buy in up markets. Who's going to always buy homes is going to be nurses, cops, military, government. These are just normal people who need a place to live, and they've got a really stable job to support that. They bought homes all through 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12. I mean, we never had a problem selling those homes. The problems we had the most problem on is when we were trying to sell stuff for 160K, like to the hood where there was grants and, people were a little unstable. Those would sit a little more. But I mean, I went back and I've looked at all my data over the last 10 years, and I've never in 10 years, and we went through some tough stuff, had a problem selling a house that was a single family home right? That literally a nice single family home, three two or above, and at a price point that was very, very entry level, you know, like 200 to 250, that home's going to sell. And the next thing though is make sure you price it right, make sure you finish it as well as you always do. Like you never cut corners. Your houses always look amazing. So doing all that's really important. So personally, that market only went down 10 or 15K over 18 months in the worst time we've seen in 200 years. So like Glen Burnie, you know, a $250,000 house went to 235 over 18 months. That's not a big downturn if you really think about that being over 18 months. If you're in and out in 6 months, then you would only seen 5K of that even. So if you're making 35K, 40K, and you sell it for 5K less, so what? It's not the end of the world. I don't think that's going to be the case right now because we have an insane inventory issue right now, and we will. So this is actually something like, and every time there's downturn, there's opportunity. So I really want you to focus on the opportunity of what you have going on. Personally, just don't go for like really insanely high houses, you know, like crazy big houses that are going to be like just way beyond anything that's selling. Because I was a couple people I talked to were doing like $1 million properties, and they said they were still selling. Like they were surprised, but they were still selling. I was like, $1 million properties, really? And they were like, yep. And I was like, okay. But I mean, they're very aware that $1 million properties could drop off the face of the earth in 3 to 4 months. They just don't know, right? We don't know. And I wouldn't be betting on those, but I would bet on, what I can tell you is if you ask me where I think the market's going, I'm putting all my money into exactly what I just told you. Houses that would be sold to essential people, because for every person who's lost a job, like restaurant industry, entertainment industry, right, there's like many people whose jobs have gotten more secure. They've gotten raises, they've gotten promotions, and they're working overtime. They're making more money than ever. So that's who's we're going to be selling homes to. Like I told you, I got 9 contracts. So they all came from government workers and contractors. So right now, apparently contractors are super busy and government workers are really busy. And obviously we know like nurses and doctors and all that are super busy, right? And then cops are working like multiple shifts, you know, anybody in the military, all that stuff. And we're very lucky that because we're near DC, we have a lot of military, we have a lot of government. We've got a couple of the biggest, you know, like Maryland is very condensed with people from NSA, from all different things, right? So personally, you know, I think it's a good time now when you're buying your new houses, just run it through that filter. Don't overpay for it, right? If you feel like you got to overpay, then don't buy it, because there'll be an opportunity to get it at the right price, and use comps that, you know, you feel comfortable with. Like when you use the 350 comp on Hawthorne, you end up getting 385. That's awesome. That was a strong conservative comp. So a lot of what we're doing today, you won't, you know, since we, you know, you've been working with me, I've been teaching you this stuff before we ever needed it, because like, yes, we have to do it now, but like, it really was great to do before too. And you constantly heard me talking and saying like, hey, when you price your house, price it aggressively. Don't, you know, price it aggressively and let it get ran up. And, you know, and that's what you guys have been doing. So you don't have to change a lot, but don't get desperate right now. Don't get desperate and take something that's iffy, because you don't need to. Right now, the market's doing fine. Just stay focused on houses that really what you've been doing, to be honest. I feel like you know, a lot of people in our group, when I'm talking to a lot of other people, I have a lot of different suggestions, but in our group, I've been teaching you how to be very recession proof, because I knew there was going to be a recession, and I don't know this is even going to be one, to be honest with you, but I just knew if this isn't one, feel assured there will be one in the near future, right? Because now we got to deal with $6 trillion in additional debt that we got to deal with. There's going to be a time where, like, when I say that there's a recession, like, don't think like everyone went broke, but like, this isn't a good time to live, you know, week to week, right? We got to this is the time to tighten everything down, fire stuff, get rid of anything that's not working. You know, if you can I'm trying to get rid of cable and I can't even get them on the phone, but you know, I'm selling my cars off. I mean, I'm selling my house on the waterfront, and I mean, I'm just getting rid of it, not because I need to. I'm just like, there's no reason right now. I could still sell it, and I know, you know, and I probably still get a really high premium for it, and I don't really need it. You know, like $3,000 a month that I'm just spending, and I'm there like 1 day a week at best. So it's kind of like, and I have another house I've already bought anyhow, so I kind of own 2 now, and there's no reason to own 2. So I just jumped on selling it. I didn't want to do the whole second floor because I don't know how long it's going to take. My fear of that was if it takes 6 months and I put a bunch of money into it, I started running the numbers and thinking like, well, the 60, 70 grand I'd be putting into that, and all the time I could be doing other flips with that and make the same money that I would make additionally, but without all that resting headache of trying to get a variance. So that's where I think the market's going to be. But you know what? Ask me in a week and I'll let you know if anything changes. What I can tell you as part of being in this group, I am spending every waking hour that I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do and watching videos, talking to people, learning, like polling people, asking people what they've seen, and really digesting what they're telling me, but then filtering it. Because some people, I'm trying to filter, are they talking from experience or are they talking from their heart? And some people talk to me from their heart, and I just have to filter through that, because when people talk to me from their heart, I realize that, like, okay, well, that's not real, right? That's based on the news. It's based on fear. It's not based on any kind of real data. When I tend to tax them, like I think Ray asked that question of, like, you know, he asked somebody a question and they couldn't even give him an answer. When we tend to task people on the data piece, you can get an understanding whether the person you're talking to is actually doing research or they're just telling you what they think. Because a lot of people, most people are going to tell you what they think, but not tell you where the data is. Right now, the data is I'm seeing 20% more showings, and I'm seeing my offers be 7% or 7% higher than what they had been, you know, 4 weeks ago. So I'm seeing an uptick in showings. I'm seeing an uptick in offers on standard homes. No, and I have no big ones to sell. Luckily, I have every kind of, all the homes I'm doing are the homes I'm telling you to do, and those are doing extremely well right now. And none of my settlements have fell apart. Like, everything's still going to settlement. So people are pretty excited to buy still with the interest rate. People don't really buy on value anyhow. They buy on payment. And right now, the payments are considerably cheaper than rent. So if somebody jumps out of a deal, what are they going to do? Go rent a place for more? So it's still a lot of incentive to stay in a home. Like, if you're buying a home right now, it's $1,200 a month payment. If you get out of that deal, you got to go pay $1,600, $1,700 a month to rent. Like, nobody wants to jump out of a deal because of, you know, unless they've lost their job. The good thing is that most of the people who've really been crushed by this, they were mostly landlord. They were mostly rentals, right? Because, like, people that are servers and, you know, like, a lot of the industries are being crushed. They generally rent more than they buy. You know, they're very, because not all their income's on record. So they have a more difficult time getting approved. So the people that really have always been great buyers are actually even more great buyers now. People with, you know, good, stable income, long job history, you know, working for the government, working for something that's kind of like, you know, you don't really get fired from. You know, they don't fire any of that stuff. Right now, they're just giving money away for free. I don't know if you and Nikki have explored the SBA loan stuff, but that's something to consider right now, because I know Nikki for sure can, you know, with the restaurant could get something, and you guys could actually get something for the other business. So any business that you've been 1099ing or paying people with a W-2 is basically eligible for 10K in free money. And
What, I mean, I know she's done it for the restaurant.
yeah.
She's applied for a grant and a loan.
Okay.
Cool. I mean, we are eligible as house flippers for that too.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if you can do, like, a household can do two different ones because you have two businesses. That's a question. Ray asked something about that earlier, but yes, as a house flipper, I've paid somebody $750 and they've assured me that they can get me a loan and get all this stuff done, because, you know, the only qualification is you've had to 1099 people and be in business over like a year. So I have all those qualifications. And what they'll do, and since I don't really W-2 people, they'll look at my weekly pay to my, you know, my subs, and they'll just use that as my monthly gross, and they'll lend you up to 2.5 times your gross. So, you know, if I show that I'm paying $50K a month, you know, I might lend me $100,000+ at a low interest rate, and it's forgivable. But here's the best part: if they hate your credit and they hate you, they're going to give you 10 grand in like 3 days once you get your application fully in, and you don't have to give it back. It's free stimulus money. So, like, if they say, yeah, TJ, you don't qualify, we're not going to give you the 100K loan, they literally let you keep the 10K free because that's part of the stimulus. They won't ask for that back. So it's pretty interesting. I thought that sounded super scammy, but I've checked it with multiple people and it's true. You know, you start talking about free 10K, but it makes sense right now because they basically are just their way of stimulating small businesses. And 10K don't really mean a lot. I mean, it's, you know, it's good to have it, but, like, you know, the way businesses run, 10K ain't going to push you too long. So it ain't like, you know, it ain't like you're getting rich off of 10K.
So what do you have your accountant doing it?
I have a lady who's I've hired as my CFO doing it. She's charging $750 to do it for me. You can easily do it yourself, just so you know. I just kind of got into it, and there was a lot of questions I had. And because I'm not looking for the 10K only, I am legitimately trying to get as much loan as possible. I decided to pay her $750 for that reason, because I'm looking not to use this as to get 10K. Of course, I'll take 10K, and I'm not complaining about 10K. But what I would really love is the opportunity to get an SBA loan. Because of this time right now, they're essentially, the government's giving a lot of pressure to the Small Business Administration to actually underwrite loans that they normally would not have underwritten, right? They probably would not have given us this loan a month ago. So there's a lot of pressure for them to, like, kind of lower the qualifications to get these loans. They're super low interest, and really hard to get normally, but not right now because they've been, they put a ton of money in there and they're basically telling them to lend it out and kind of, give it to the small businesses. So I'm really shooting to try to get like 100 to 150K loan, and at a low interest rate. That if it's forgivable, that would be awesome too. But if all I end up with is 100K at 4%, I'm more than happy to take that too.
What is do I go to SBA website?
Yeah, you go to SBA, and basically it's like there's 3 squares that come up. You just click the middle one. And what I would recommend if you're serious about it is I would recommend going on YouTube, watching some videos on how to do it. And they'll kind of like, there's people right now already telling you exactly how to do it, walking you through the paperwork, what to say, how to fill it out. I just decided to pay this lady because I just started realizing my time. Like I also don't want to mess it up. But if you just get it in, it is a first come, first serve. So if you wait 2 weeks to do it, there might be a chance the money's all gone. There'll be a really good chance of that. So, I mean, if it's something you're serious about and any of you guys on here are qualified for, you should be doing it ASAP, because it literally, if they accept your stuff and they say, yes, TJ, you've given us everything we've needed, now we need to review it. At that point that they have all the paperwork they need and you've applied and given them everything they want, then they have to give you 10K in your bank account in 3 days. And then the approval will take somewhere between 20 to 40 days. And if they come back 20 to 40 days later and say, look, you just don't qualify, right, for whatever reason, you get to keep the 10K. So it's like a consolation prize, right? It's like, hey, thanks for trying.
Happy birthday to me.
Yeah, exactly. 10 free thousand, 10,000, you don't have to pay it back, right? And if you get the 100K, this is like, just say you get 100K, if you use it to pay your people and you can prove that you didn't pay debt with it, or you didn't go pay like your credit card with it and all that, you can actually go back and, and show them what you used it for and ask for it to be forgiven. And that's a legitimate thing. That's pretty insane too. But you do have to prove to them you used it for what's called qualified expenditures. And even if say you used it to, go book 7 cruises to Hawaii, you basically are just going to have to pay it back at a low interest rate. So it's not like the end of the world either way. But if you can actually prove you used it to, keep your restaurant going, keep the business running, whatever it is, and, that's what they want you to use it for. So that's what I'm going to use it for. I'm literally going to put it in this little side account, and I'm just going to pay my people with it and find the qualified things and then just use it for those qualified things over the next couple of months. And that way I can hopefully try to get rid of it, and I go back and ask them, can I have it for free? We'll see. I hired someone because I figured with hiring them, it would actually make sense. So that, they could help me with it. But again, a lot of people are doing it and it's working. So as long as you've had a business, you paid somebody 1099, you've been in business for over a year, you actually are paying some money out regularly, then you're good to try it, right? And the advice I've been getting is like, go ahead and try, because even if they say no, you could get a check. Like a lot of people are actually getting checks. Stimuluses. So anyhow, that's true for almost everyone on the call. Maybe not Gerhard, but because but you're okay because maybe you can get regular stimulus because you have a job. Yeah, they might just send you a random check too.
I don't think I'll get anything.
Really?
Nah, because they would be like, you don't really need it, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, you know what too? I think they did say the regular stimulus was like you had to make under 100K or something, so you might not fall for that, but yeah, whatever. And I don't know if I'll get anything, but I'm gonna try. I'm only investing $750 to give it a shot. I'm more trying to get some, some cheap money is what I really want, because I could use like 150K and money that could, put in my business for a very small payment.
It's always good to have more money, man. My private lenders pulled out. They don't want to lend anymore for a while.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Same here.
Yeah. So
Got a
like
rent freeze on us.
And what's funny was the guy said, yeah, we have a lot of loans out there that's not coming in. I said, okay, so are these all flips where the people are not selling the flips, or what's happening? And they just scared. Like they don't have the guy didn't have any data to back it up, because he's like, oh, we're really afraid we're going to run out of money because we'll be a little cash poor the next few months. I go, okay, so how many flips are out there that you loaned on that's not closing? Oh, they're not showing any properties, but
yeah, people are just shutting it down. So here's something. I talked to 8 people. I think I told this story earlier. I talked to 8 lenders, and 3 of them are basically just shutting down. Brooke Kane being one of them. TJ's guy, and the funny part is all three of them, and I would say this is the ironic part, maybe the more interesting part, is all three of them who are shutting down and saying, hey, we're just not lending right now. They're all over like 60 some years old. And, you know, if you really think about investments, right, and being smart as an investor, the older you are, the less risk you can handle because the less time you have to recover. Everyone else is still lending. I'd called 8 people, 5 were still lending. Out of the 8, 3 were like, nope. Brooke was one of them. And, you know, they were all in their mid 60s plus, which makes a lot of sense. So, I mean, when I talked to all of them, they were all, and Brooke told me this too. He's like, dude, I don't think the bottom's dropping out. He's like, I'm just in a place where I don't want to be wrong. Right. Because, it makes sense because he wouldn't have time to recover. Right. If he did get it wrong and lose a bunch of money, he would not have enough lifespan to recover because he's in his 60s. Now, all the people who are in their 40s that were lending were like, whatever. And the people that were just like, so basically 2 of the 5 guys were like, who cares? And we're still lending and no changes at all. The other 3 told me that we're lending, we were getting a little loose with our lending, like lending to a lot of people that were new and didn't really have any track record. And, we're probably just going to stop lending to them a little. We told them that we were stopping. So a couple of them even said, Mike, if you hear we're not lending, we are lending for you and for like, your students if they want to come, but we're not lending to like just goofballs essentially. Because a few of them, like my one guy, Gary, he started lending to random people that just weren't like that qualified. And he'd even told me like some of the stuff we're doing, I'm not so sure about. And so he basically stopping that. Right. And I've heard that. So 3 out of the 5 said that like, we're tightening up, meaning we're just not going to lend to anyone who has a shitty deal and not even require them to put any money in. Like you were getting those kind of loans where you basically put no money in. And so they're kind of stopping that. They want you to put a little money in. They're going to want the deal to make sense, obviously, because, they don't want a bad deal in let's say an uncertain economy. I'm not going to say this is a crash. I'm just going to say it's an uncertain economy. So this is a really bad time to do a loan. The good news with all this is that whenever you get somebody, like if you're getting turned down by lenders and you can't convince somebody to lend on a house, they probably suggest the house isn't good enough and you haven't talked to enough people too. If you just talk to one person, it doesn't count. So 2 of them were just like, whatever, we're just doing whatever. It's all good. So, but we'll see. One of my main lenders actually backed out, but he's in New York in Manhattan and he's also highly emotional. I mean, he did like 6 months ago just decide to raise my rate by 0.5% for no reason, just because he's like, I feel like I should do it. And I'm just like, what does that mean? Because if you raise first of all, you're the highest guy I pay, right? Just because we have a relationship, I still bring you business. And it's true. We've done 300 deals together. He's never got a late payment. Like, I don't know. You got a 300 deal client that's done 300 deals with you. Think of the money he's made off me in 300 deals. We know that's a lot of money, right? I've brought him probably over $1 million in profit over 10 years. So with that being said, I'm like, dude, stop being emotional. Like, I'm not saying you shouldn't tighten up, but why would you cut me off? Like, and he's like, well, I don't know, because I think the whole world's going to cave in. And he basically told me, like, you don't think we're going to ever, it's going to be zombie apocalypse. So he's like, why would I lend? You'll never be able to sell a house. And then I was like, well, would you be surprised that I'm selling them right now? He's like, you'd have to prove it to me. I just can't even believe you're selling houses right now. I'm like, well, James, just go look. I mean, you don't have to prove it. Just go online and look at my stuff, man. I'm not making it up. So I talked to him for an hour, and at the end, he got better. But he still was thinking with his heart. So I knew he was going to be a tough one because he just decides to like raise rates for no reason. Everything he's ever done in our relationship has always been with his heart versus with his head. The other dude was just like, nah, dude, we're all good, man. You're good. I'm still lending. If some people tell you I'm not, it's because I didn't really want to keep lending to them. So hopefully Brooke's not doing that to you. He might be lending to some people. Because I would think as these guys none of them should be shutting down, but they all should be thoughtful of who they're lending to. Right. I don't think any of them should be shutting down, but they should. I mean, the ones that are shutting down, like Gerhard said, they're just completely shutting down. I think that's stupid because shutting down is dumb right now. But being thoughtful and not lending on bad deals, that's smart. And that's what they should be doing. In 2008, there was plenty of hard money lenders. But, do you think a lot of the people, 9, I mean, really, when I say, let me use 9 because 8 was still things were kind of good. But think about 2009, like we lost like more than half the lenders, but there still was plenty of lenders that were lending. They were just asking you to bring a little more money to the deal, charging you a little higher interest rate. So what I would be prepared right now is if you think your money's in play or in place, then you want to go back and secure it, make sure it is, and be prepared to maybe pay a higher interest rate too on your deals. you know, Michael Chow told me his guy said 10% and then changed his mind to 12%, like in a week before settlement. Then Mike got butthurt and said, screw you. And I was just like, you should probably go back and just pay the 12%. It's not that big a deal. It's just going to happen right now, right? Fully expect that they could be changing terms, changing all that stuff.
Most guys here, instead of doing 100%, they'll do now 70 or 60. They'll just, you know, lend on less. I actually had a question. So going through everything, tightening up a little bit, I figured, man, I'm paying for them for Lead Propeller like $40 or $50. I don't think a lot of people go to anything other than the first page they hit on that damn thing.
Mhm.
Do you have any data on your site? Like, do they ever go to any other pages?
I don't have a Lead Propeller site, so I have a Squarespace
No, on
site.
your whatever your site
Yeah.
is, right?
I'm sure they do, but I don't know. Mostly what you're right. Most of the action is going to happen on page one, right? The opt-in form page. So, I mean, I'm not saying other people won't check in some of the testimonials and, you know, scroll around and all that, but yeah, most of the stuff is going to happen on the first page. Is it like some kind of better deal if you only have like one page or something with them?
No, I got rid of them totally because it's down half the time and it
Yeah.
doesn't work that well. I mean, I just copied it basically. I copied all the content because I was like, hey, I paid for this. I'll just
Oh,
put it
yeah.
on another place.
And then what did you put it on? Just like WordPress or something?
Wix.
Or Wix? Yeah, Wix is good enough.
Yeah, $8 a month.
I mean, that's what we went to Squarespace. I think it's $15 a month or something, and it's all good. And I mean, I don't worry too much about that. I mean, Lead Propeller is fine. I mean, it's a really good source to get a site if you just want to build something and you don't want to take a lot of time because a lot of it's pre-built. But yeah, we cut it out. We cut it out a while ago just because we were just like, we don't need to spend $50 a month.
Well, that's the thing. Like all those little things just cost you money and it doesn't produce anything, you know?
True. Yep. A lot of that stuff's not going to produce for you and you got to be careful with it and it all adds up. So we cut off, what is the voicemail one? CallRail, you know, $120 a month for like a year. I haven't even really been using it. So cutting out $120 a month and we'll find something else. They were like, what are we going to use instead? I'm like, there's something out there. We don't have but like one or two phone numbers. It's not like we're running a bunch of campaigns right now.
Yeah, I was just worried about the old numbers. People still call from old mailers, you know?
They do, but it isn't worth paying $120 a month, honestly.
No.
Because
Yeah.
just, you know, mailers are always a volume play. So if you're only getting like a random call here and there, the volume won't add up to being like worth talking about, you know, because yeah, we used to worry about that all the time. But when I just made the choice recently, I'm just like, cut it off. So what if we miss a couple phone calls? It's
Yeah.
not gonna, you know, I honestly just want to get like, look, bootstrapping is the theme of what we need to do right now. And if you are in a deal and you like the deal and you think it's a good deal, two things, like I know you had a deal, Gerhard, you should go try to find another lender and you should go back to the buyer or seller and try to renegotiate them. I know you said you already did, but like shit get more real every day. Like I would try to keep your deal together. I think you have a good deal, but I would make the deal juicier. And then if it falls apart because you can't make it juicy enough, then that's fine. But you know, I always I don't ever believe in just killing deals. I believe in like renegotiating them. And if they die because I can't get what I want, then that's a different story. I didn't really choose to give the deal up. I just couldn't make the deal what I wanted it to be. So I let it go. But I found with people, I've made some really, really insane kind of like requests. And I've had people come like be pissed at first and then come back to me a week later and say, we'll take it. So, I mean, you know, you're probably in a scenario like that right now where you potentially could get like someone to sell you that house. That guy might make a shift, like a big shift that would make this house like a no-brainer. So whatever that is, consider it and think about it. I mean, it's something
Yeah,
worth thinking about.
I mean, definitely going with the high ARV, like the original plan, I don't think is feasible because it's a higher end for the market. You know, like all the other houses, and remember when we looked at it, we actually had to dig a little bit to find comps for up there, where all the other comps are like in the 250, 260, which is 100 grand less.
Yeah.
So I'm running the numbers a little bit and see, well, okay, what do I need to do to sell it for 260? You know, even if we thought it was a $370,000 house, Let's
Mhm.
sell it for 260 and see
That's
what.
that's crazy though. You're not. First of all, it was different than all the other houses that were 260.
No, there were others that were the same.
How so?
Four
Like,
bedroom. The only thing this one had different was the pool.
well, it has a pool. It's a newer house. It had a ton of square footage, right? Square
Yeah.
footage is higher than most of the other ones.
No, they were all the same. Like if you do like without digging, if you do a looking for comps,
Hmm.
then the ones you find are like two, let's say 280, 290, right?
Okay.
Then when we really dug into it, we found more that were not showing up right on the MLS, and then we were like in the 370.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because there was like some kind of different.
MLS is like a little wacky there. But
Yeah.
I'm saying like if I look at it the way that the lazy appraiser would, that
No appraiser's gonna look at it that way. Yeah.
he might find like the 290 as the ARV.
He may, and I'm not saying you wouldn't try to get 290 or 300, but I think going from 370 to 260s, you might just say your deal's not going to get done.
Yeah.
That's killing. That's essentially killing it without killing it. It's like not taking responsibility for killing it.
Yeah.
It's like a nice way of saying I'm not doing the deal. Because I don't think that's a real. I think that's a way overreaction to what's going on right now. And I'm not telling you shouldn't reduce. And I basically just said you should. But if you over reduce right now, then it's just as bad as not doing anything at all, right? Probably. You'll miss the opportunity to make money. So because there's going to be money made right now, and there's people still buying houses. With that being said, I mean, go as hard as you want. I think 260 is probably insane. But if you're talking about like, what did you think the number was before? 370? Is that what you thought? Or did we use like 350 or so?
370, yes.
Okay. And what'd you buy it for?
I bet it for 240 at the moment.
Okay. And then what does the guy owe on it?
I think it's 207. I'm trying to get the final number. I mean, I figure if I can get them like $5,000, they'll be happy.
Yeah, but that don't work if you're going. None of that makes any sense though if you're using 260 ARV.
No, for 260, you still won't be able to rehab. Even if you get it at 210,
Mm-hmm.
you cannot do it for 260 unless you just put it on the market without doing anything. But you won't get like,
See if you can get him down to like whatever, see how far you can get him down. Let's relook at it again. Let's relook at it together. If you can get him down. If you can't get him down, then I agree 240 is probably a little high. And because you're right, you probably don't want to be playing on a 370 in an area where most things are 250, because that's pretty high above all the other comps. And the market being amazing, no problem. You're selling anything, right? But now we don't know if that kind of property will take a hit or not, because it is a standout, more expensive property. But what I would do is just say, look, tell him that you're probably going to be near like what they owe. You might be able to squeeze like 5K out. Let me know if that works. If it does, I'll go back to my investors and see if I can make it happen. I like using that language because you're still leaving the door open a little, right? That if you could still easily go back and say, look, I went back home and I still can't make it work. The Corona thing's a nightmare, right? Sorry, man, I tried my best, kind of thing. So, and what we could do if you get the number down some is we can take another look at it. I mean, we know it ain't going to be a lot to renovate, and then we'll just look and really dig into the comps and see. Like, I'm very good at reducing things and making sure they can still sell. Like, I've literally never been stuck with a property ever, but and let me look at it again, because you're right. I haven't looked at it since things have changed, and it makes sense that we should.
Yeah.
So I think that's worth doing.
It's like if you have a property that's renovated and selling now, it's great, because even when they look at comps, they're still seeing last month and the month before.
Yeah.
But a few months down the line, it just feels like people are pushing more for the lower,
Yeah, maybe they are.
higher end flips. So I don't want to be the guy on the high end. I want to be the guy that sells like the first time home buyer that run off the,
I mean, honestly though, selling that for even like 3.25 is like almost no payment. I mean, right now it's like $1,800 a month, like $2,000 a month max for like 325. I mean, it's so cheap. The money's so cheap right now that like, values have actually been going up with properties right now because values go up according to the interest rate, and the interest rate is crazy low right now, so people can buy more house. So like the thing that drove the prices down obviously in 2008 was lack of money and interest rates going up, and then tons of inventory coming in. If you think about it, it's like the perfect storm right now. And now what we have is super low interest rates, easy money, and very few houses for sale. So yeah, we got a lot of turmoil, and but this isn't a 3-year thing. This is a couple month thing before people start getting back to normal. Some level of normalcy, right? It won't be perfect, and not every, some businesses are going to take longer to recover. But real estate has been deemed essential, and people living and moving and all that's been a big thing. So, it's still doing very well, and likely will continue to keep doing really well. So, personally, I would say, let's just look at it again, right? Let's just take a second look. I'm doing that on every property I have, and I think anyone here, right? You should be looking at every property with fresh eyes. If you already own it, then just put your head down, knock it out, get it done, right? And price it right when you get it on the market. Just make sure it's nice and it's complete and you've done everything properly. And then when you get to the end, reevaluate, right? Because you can't not finish at this point, right? You can't not finish. What I will tell you, if you are currently rehabbing a house, like Gerhard, you have a choice, right? But Christine, Ray, and Nikki, and Nikhil, and whoever else is on the phone, I don't know the phone numbers, but you guys, TJ, right? He's on there too. So you guys don't have a choice because you're already in the middle of the house. So you just got to finish it, right? You guys just got to knock it out. And this is just going to be more of what I've been preaching before this happened. Like cut costs, get people down, get things done. Speed is not even that big a deal, but just get it done right is really still the big theme of this, because Ray's got Ray can, if he can hear and he's on, he can give you some examples of houses that he's owned 9 months, but still made really good profit on. Right. Because he did everything right. So, Ray, you can definitely speak to this. There's been many houses in the last year since we've been talking about you like focusing and focusing on quality over quantity and really, really like nailing it, selling it for more on the back end. You've had houses you bought and inventoried for months, and they didn't get done like in 4 or 5 months. You told me one took 9 months, whatever.
Yeah. The one that we're selling right now, we bought in June of last year. And went under contract, was for a month, and it fell apart the week of closing. Went back under contract, and if it closes on track with this guy, will be from June till the 3rd week of April, so 10 months.
Yeah, 10 months.
And again, obviously everything checks out, and if it appraises at this number, but we'll end up being about 44,000 on it, and that's with holding it for 10 months. So Hannah and I kind of had an epiphany moment yesterday. I'm like, if we would have been in and out of this even in like 6 months, it took our because our taxes are insanely expensive. It took our profit up to like $54,000 just by disposing of it in a proper timeline. But I agree with you. They're definitely not profitable. It just eats a lot of.
It does, but
then hurt by the speed. Which is our fault.
For sure. But guess what? This is the thing. Like the profit you're making and your ability to get that extra money came because you got it right. So what I found is, yes, if you would have done it in 5 months, you might have like saved some interest. But I wonder if you would have still put as good of a property out if you would have, done everything correctly. So like right now, one of the reasons we are taking longer with them is I'm making sure every property I put out is amazing, because I know if it's amazing, it'll sell right now, right? Regardless of what we got going on. And eventually you'll be able to have your cake and eat it too, right? So, we always have to slow down to speed up. So right now you're building a lot of stuff out, building your teams out. And then now that, you're still making profits, and yes, you will have the time where you can actually get it done, A+ house, and get it done in 4 or 5 months. That's going to happen very soon, actually. Even, you're probably going to see more of that start to happen in the next 3 to 6 months, simply because, you won't be buying too many properties, right? And because that's the next thing I found, like when my properties take too long, it's usually because I own too many. And you probably got to that place where you own just a few more than you should, and it slowed you down.
That's why we're sitting on this for 10 months. This is literally, it was just a disposal problem of having everything kind of back up a little bit. But we found our number of what we need to keep in inventory.
Yeah, it's always getting that perfect balance. And the bottom line is you're still making money. I've seen people do stuff in 4 months and break even. So, just get it right is so much more important right now. So when I say don't focus on speed, I'm not saying be like neglectful, but focus on getting it right, getting your team right, getting your people right. And if you do that, then you'll still make money either way. And, you'll be good. And then next house, you can speed it up more. Next house, you can speed it up even more. and you just keep doing that over time, things get great, right? So that's what you've been focusing on. You're still making profits. I've had some that have taken a little longer than they should, but profits are still amazing. No complaints. Because, you know, part of it's building. And this is not going to be a relevant conversation if you're doing one flip at a time. So, I mean, obviously it kind of is. Let's say you use like Micah and Christine, they're doing one flip and you guys are building your team out. So you probably feel like you're going slower than you should, but you're gaining a lot of value from doing so, right? You're giving time for Christine and you to really take a lot in, learn a lot. You're going to come out of this so much smarter than you came into it, because that's what a flip should be. It should be a profit center, but also a flip is a high level of like real life experience that you get to learn from, and the opportunity to build your team, the team that's going to not drive you crazy, the team that's going to make this something you can do for a really long time. So most people take really long on their first flip. I personally did. It was still profitable, so I'm okay with that. I've had flips that I've done quickly but incorrectly and did not make very much money. So if you nail the quality, pick the right house, price it correctly, stage it right, make sure, everything's good. You got your layout really nice. You're going to do fine. So your house, honestly, Mike, I think your house is yours and Christine's been going up in value as we speak. So some of your slowness is probably going to pay off, because you literally, I just sold one on that. Remember the one on Middle River Road I was telling you about, on the Busy by the Royal Farms? I just got like $240 for that house. And that's like literally on like right behind some projects, and it's not a good location. It's definitely an inferior location for sure. So I only thought I was getting $210. That's $30K more than I expected. So,
Nice.
And I've seen a lot of solds when I was just pulling comps for today for the appraiser. I actually seen a lot of solds in like the area, like Arrow Acres and all there where it has no basements. And those are like insanely going for like 240, 250. All like that's insane for me. Like no basement, and it's going for like 230 to 250. So yeah, I'm thinking your house, like I wouldn't overprice it obviously in the economy we're in, but I think there's a really good chance you're going to price it aggressively like we talked about in the first place, and you're probably going to be able to get people to go way over list or just get, considerably over list, and you're going to end up with a good outcome, right? And it's just going to end up being like a nice little profit, some money for the bank, whatever, and then you get to do
It's
more.
great because one of my rent zones just didn't work out because they had a too low a score in FHA. It was refer eligible, and they stopped taking them.
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
Rent man.
Yeah, and I'd probably tell you right now it'd be a bad time to do a rent to own, because I don't know what the future holds for that. I have seen a big pull out on like people doing like refis and stuff for landlord stuff. So personally, I'm not buying any rentals right now. Just I do think that market is. So like I said, when they talk about the real estate market, some parts are going to get hit harder than others. I would not want to have a bunch of rent to owns. I wouldn't want to have a bunch of rentals, multifamily units. I'm so glad I didn't jump on that train, because I was watching enough podcasts that I almost got sucked into that. So I'm glad I didn't, because this would be an awful time to own a multi-unit, because you literally could have like 30-40% of your people not paying you and no ability to evict them. So that's not cool. That's literally your worst nightmare if you own 100 doors, right? It's your worst nightmare. You're like, oh yeah, no one's paying me, and I can't even get rid of them to get new people. So the problem basically has no timeline to it. I could just leave them in there. And they were in one guy was telling me in Michigan that if you asked your tenant for the rent, they literally could give you like a $500 fine. It was a misdemeanor. So you can't even ask for rent, like try to collect it. Yeah, it's kind of insane. So I'm really glad I'm like very low on rentals right now. Fortunately, all my tenants have been paying, but if they didn't pay, I could just, it wouldn't be the end of the world for me. So I could just be cool and just say, hey, let's not worry about it for a little bit. But anyhow, so yeah, going forward, you heard what I talked about earlier. I would focus on, I think this is a really good time to build your flip business and focus on the flips that actually make sense and that people are going to be really excited about. Your flip you currently have is currently definitely one of the houses I would, I think is a really good Baltimore County, good first time home buyer house. It's going to be a good fit for a lot of people. And the market is still pretty aggressive right now. So we're seeing a lot of stuff go under contract, a lot of good things happening. So anyhow,
the Southern Avenue in Hamilton, does that ring a bell?
What is it called?
Southern Avenue.
Southern, yeah. Yep.
Well, do you have a ballpark ARV for like a 4.3 or a 5.3 there, single family?
How many square feet is it?
It's big. It's probably 1,800.
No, it's 1562.
Okay.
Okay. And is it 4.3 above grade or in the basement? You're gonna have like 1.1 in the basement?
Above. we'll have one on the main floor or the basement. So it could be 5, including the basement.
What does it look like? I mean, style of home.
I mean, when you walk in, you definitely have to open it up. You can kill it and make it awesome on the first floor by opening up the walls.
Is it a Cape Cod or is it a like a Craftsman?
Cape Cod with
It's kind of like a mix. So
yeah.
it's kind of like a mix. I think it's more towards Craftsman than
Let's see.
Cape Cod, but it does look like Cape Cod.
Bedrooms are nice size in the upstairs. It's got a
Let me
it's got a
Zillow
bump
it.
out.
What was it you said? 15 what? Or what was the address?
3509. I actually sent you a video. It's like a 3-minute video earlier today because I wanted you to sort of walk through it virtually.
Yeah, so that's definitely going to be, I guess that's like a Craftsman. It looks like they closed the porch in. So, oh, that's just it sold May 2013. Let's see the pics.
It's
What is
not in
this?
bad shape.
Yeah, but it's not really in good shape either. It's almost like it's in that middle ground. It's almost perfect for like what you rent to own and stuff. Like it feels like it'd almost be
Yeah.
perfect for that, but not so much like for rehab because you know what the problem is with it for rehab is it's such good shape that the highest and best use isn't to rip it apart. If that makes
No,
sense.
I mean,
Oh,
you're looking at a picture from like
It's worse now.
72.
Okay,
No,
good.
way worse now.
All right, cool. They beat it up. That's not uncommon. So I guess that was my next question. I was like, is it actually still like this? Because okay, so you really need a rehab on it, and so that house basement's completely finishable, like it's tall enough.
Yeah, totally finishable. Yep.
Let's see if we can get a map on it. Southern Avenue. It's all about what part of Southern Avenue you're on.
3,500. Yeah. Okay.
No, I gotta just see where that is. Look at me how cool. There's the map. All right, so it's Southern right by Walther. So you're not completely in. Like, see, it's a little more expensive over here. But I mean, usually stuff like that, and I mean, honestly, instead of just like guessing, I have MLS up, and I'll tell you exactly what it's worth. Because in this neighborhood, it's tricky, right? So the secret to really comping well in this neighborhood is you got to look at style, you got to look at the street. It is like very block to block around there. I've done about 200 flips in this area. And
Everything sold in the last 6 months, and within a half-mile radius is really high. That's why I'm wondering.
Yeah.
What's going on? Like, what am I not seeing there?
Oh, you're probably not missing anything, really. I mean, you know, it could be style, and I can tell you if it's a difference in style or not. Because ultimately, the way it works in this neighborhood, I've bought many, many properties. So doing 200 flips there, I had many properties that like every comp around it was 220, and next thing you know, I can't get but 190, and I'm like, why? Right? And it's the smallest things, right? It's always the smallest stuff. So obviously, this is way bigger. I mean, I'll just scroll through them quickly. Way bigger. Yours, you said, was 16. You see, even though these are clearly just bigger, nicer looking houses, this starts to look more like your house on Halcyon. And it's 1,600. Two something's insane, but that's 0.4 miles away. So what I can tell you is, like, remember where I just said this part sells for more? Laurelville. When I was circling Laurelville, you're not in Laurelville, you're in Waltherson, right? So 0.4 seems like, oh, that's not that far. It actually is far enough to be in a whole different like price point. So
Okay.
what we probably, and honestly, what I'll do very quickly is when we're looking for stuff like this. Now that's just a big house, but that is near you. So that's kind of cool. And it looks bigger, but it ain't really got big square footage, but you got to be very mindful of that, right? So let's just look at this. This house looks a lot bigger than yours, even though it's not really bigger, but it's going to feel bigger. So like, don't always go by square footage. You have to be mindful of this is a much grander looking home. They tend to sell for more in that neighborhood. So one thing I have noticed is a pattern of homes that look like this could be put against a home like yours. And even though they have all the same numbers, like yours will sell for 30 or 40K less.
Nice.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, and just because like this house is like, I don't know, this is someone's dream. It's a Victorian. It's a very cool house. You know, somebody like grew up dreaming about having this wraparound look. This was someone's dream, like a swing here, you know, having this porch. Someone grew up dreaming to have that house, and they'll pay for it because of that. And so I've noticed that because I've many times been like, oh, well, it's both 1,500 square foot. Why would they get so much more? Well, the answer is these are more valuable. These Victorians, or they call it colonial, but it's really a Victorian kind of colonial. This one here has just got that bigger second floor, 1,600 Overland. So this is same thing, really big looking house, right? Even though it says it's 1,600 square feet. Like, look how insanely big this is. Also, this is more desirable. So this is actually,
Mhm.
that is a Craftsman. That's called a 4-square Craftsman. So that's the most desirable one they have in the neighborhood. This house is going to feel huge, right? You go into this and it's going to feel like it's 20 some hundred square feet. So you got to know that. They're calling this one a Victorian, but maybe it is. I don't know. Frankfurt is actually not that impressive of a street. And it's 0.5, 0.3. What I'm going to do in a second is, wait, let me do it sooner than later because I don't want to waste too much time looking at this incorrectly. What I would do, because I know that if you go 0.4, you're actually getting into like what's called Laurelville, and like really good parts of Laurelville are really much more expensive. So what I'm going to do is just see how things change if we just go 0.2. Like, okay, cool. So we've got, like, obviously that house is considerably bigger looking. I can't really tell what that looks like. Well, that's one of those brick houses. That's 49. Minus $1,200. That's a pretty solid comp. I'd say this is close enough to your house, right? Similar square footage, 240. But you see how quickly, like, how it just went 280 right to 250, right to
Yeah.
240, 240, 240, 214 even, right? I mean, we're getting, but like, seriously, I think these houses are comparable to yours, the 240s. So if I had to guess, I'd probably put your house fully renovated at around like 230, 240. But
Okay.
you got to learn, like, by what we just did, we were able to get all the 280s out, because clearly that 280, like, there's just what I said, by the way, right? Like, look, 1,400 square feet, that big house, and then look at this one, 1,500. It's actually bigger, but why did it go for 40K less?
Yeah.
Look, right? The look is really important. That I mean, they literally, on paper, they're both the same.
Yeah.
They don't even look any different. Same thing with this, virtually the same, but only went for 240. And it goes to 214. I think we're just running out of houses. So Southern is a good street, just so you know. It's not a bad street. It's not something to be worried about. It's actually a pretty good street. I've sold about 5 or 6 flips on Southern over the years.
Is there a way to get it to 262, 280? I mean, is there a way?
No.
No.
I mean, putting like some kind of crazy addition or something, but it's not a practical way. No.
Yeah.
I mean, any way you could get it to like 260, 270 would be effectively to spend more money than it would take to get there, right? Putting
Yeah,
into some kind of dumb addition or something.
Gotcha.
So, like, it is the style of the home. So just so you know, when you're in this neighborhood, like, this sells so much better. And we can take a look at this one, because this one went for 250. These go for a lot more. I mean, let me just look at this house, and you can tell why. It looks like a Towson house, right? These brick homes, or these called like brick Tudors or whatever they go for more money. They're just cooler looking.
Yeah.
It's a nice rehab and everything, but this is just a cooler, more desirable home. We see those sell for more money. The one you have is about the least desirable, but it's still very desirable and sells really well. Let's see. So, like, see, now this looks a lot more like your house. Oh, cool. Yeah. So, yeah, it's rehabbed, but a little more homeownery, but all rehabbed for sure. More colorful. Really colorful. Oh crap! Or get more color. Oh, fresh, like, good basement and everything. So
Yeah.
basements are the number one reason I've gotten beat up in this neighborhood, is thinking that if I don't have a basement, I can just take 20 or 30K off. I've actually seen houses sell for stupid amounts of money lower if I don't have a basement. So knowing that you actually have a basement that's high enough to finish is a really important factor. Don't guess that. Get that right, because that changes the value big time.
Yeah.
It'll be a huge value determiner. Also, I would say that house, even though it looks clean, the one thing to know about is you're going to have to open the layout up. You're going to have to really get it up to date. You generally, like you said, you're going to need to make it at least.
Yeah. It's messy and it needs to be opened up.
Yeah, you open it up. So, you're going to basically rip it all apart. So you're probably going to spend 60 to 70 on the renovation in general. That's how much those houses eat money because of the year built, and, they end up just eating money.
Yep.
That's kind of the math for the neighborhood. I mean, I buy stuff all day long in that neighborhood, roughly for about 80 to 120 tends to be kind of the ballparks for me, depending on what it needs. And yes, if it has more square footage than 1,600, it can go very high. And then what you'll see, you can take that same house and you put it, see here, Laurelville. So you see, this is a big part to know. Oops, kind of lost all the important stuff. See if we get it. Okay, cool. There we go. We got it back. So you can see right here is Waltherson, and we're in that ballpark of this. But when you get over here in Laurelville, it's like a little mustache people running around. Those little, like, hipsters, and they have a little market over there and stuff. It's very cool in Laurelville, and it's very desirable. Beverly Hills is really nice, very desirable neighborhood. Got some cool restaurants, best crab cake in Baltimore, Coco's. So cool stuff all in this corridor right here. Very good right here, by the way, right? But you'll just see comps go down some. And then when you get farther over here, comps go down even more. So like I have one that I'm trying to buy today that was on that list, and it's over in this area, and it's like 220. So, you know, we're talking like 220, 240, 250, right? And you get over here, same house, 260. But you got to be over here. And when you don't notice that little difference, it really is a big difference. Predominantly just goes from like, I don't know, it's a little bit of a mixed bag through the other neighborhoods. You get over here and it does seem to be like very yuppie based, and they've really made some kind of transition. I guess they're just deciding that's the cool new neighborhood or something. So I just pay attention to it. I don't really care one way or the other. I just like, I look at it so that I'm aware of what I'm buying and, you know, where I'm at within that neighborhood and distance. So, you know, I would say it could be 240, 250, but I wouldn't go above that with what you have on that, in that neighborhood, especially now. Because, I mean, yes, some people, do you notice how, like, there's just some comps that have sold for a lot of money, but then there's not a lot? Like, so kind of have to throw out the, like, the ones that are just kind of laying out there, you have to throw those out. Because they're literally like, you know, they happen in the perfect environment, but they don't happen consistently, is the way to look at it. So I haven't had a lot of success trying to get like high twos over there. I'll give you a great example, actually. Strathmore, we just sold Strathmore in Laurelville, and it was 1,400 square feet. I actually bought it from a Kill. So Kill, you know about this house if he's on, and it was Kill and Darshan, who's usually on. And I sold that for $257. It's under contract now. And I think with like maybe 7K in help or something, so I'm probably netting 250, something ballpark like that. But now we still at 250 from day one. But it literally looks like the house you're trying to sell, and it's in the better neighborhood. So I would say 240, 250 max. And I got a lot of offers, and I ran them up, and that was the best I could do. That was where I got to. So
Okay.
yeah, that was kind of like, so that, and I just sold that. Now on the same street, I sold Samira's, and we got 292 or 295 for it, somewhere up in the high 290s. And I, you know, got over like 310, but we had help and everything. And her house was 2,500 square feet though. So in order to get up in that high 200 number, it was like 2,500 square feet. She also had a really beautiful home with some things in it I thought were, you know, you're just not going to find everywhere. She had some really cool stuff. I think you guys actually may have seen that or something on the walkthrough. So that's kind of the neighborhood, right? I feel like when you start pressing mid-high twos, you clearly have to have something better than just the standard house for the neighborhood. Now, what I cannot explain, and I'm 200 flips in and I still can't explain it, there will be people who put houses out for 30, 40K more than they're worth, and sometimes they sell them. And sometimes they go bankrupt, right? I just don't like, I'm not a gambler like that, right? I want to know what I can sell it for. I've seen people surprise me and I'm just confused, but I've also tracked those people over the last 11 years of flipping in this neighborhood. And I've seen more people who need to sell for 20K more or 30K more create some great comps, number one, but I've also seen them just disappear and come and go, come and go, come and go. Because, you know, you only need, you know, you can flip 5 houses and make money. You lose 40, 50K on one, and it's the end of the world, right? Period. Because just think about it, like no one can handle the emotion of losing 30K on a flip, even if they already made 150.
Yep.
Just, it's harder to lose money than it is to make it. So, I mean, it's just emotionally harder. So I've seen people with that model in that neighborhood, and I just don't advise it because I really have watched no one be successful with it. Right. I've seen a lot of pain come from it. So my model in the neighborhood is like price it where we know it's going to sell. And, you know, your house is definitely pretty comfortable in the range we just talked about. But if you do try to get 260, 270, now you're talking about stretching and trying to make something happen, which I wouldn't advise that to you a month ago. And I would say stay away from it like the plague right now.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Cool. Anyone else got anything they want to add to that or other questions? Who else?
I wanted to expand our area outside of Glen Burnie, Lithcombe, Ferndale area.
Mm-hmm.
You have any recommendations? Because I like to know the area like the back of my hand. I like to research it first. That way I know every.
Oh yeah. So well, everything that's, so the next area that's pretty good and that we've got, you know, obviously if you can find anything in Pasadena, Linthicum, Glen Burnie, Brooklyn Park, Baltimore Hollins, we used to do a lot of deals there, and we haven't been doing much there lately, but not because it's good, but just because it's kind of hard to get deals. But I also don't look at it a lot. So Baltimore Hollins, you know, that's basically almost next to Linthicum. It is next to Linthicum, not almost. You basically go over a bridge and you're in Baltimore County. So that's pretty good. Like we've seen a lot of stuff around that area, like Arbutus, Halethorpe. We've done a lot of stuff in that area over the years. And there tends to be a lot of old homes there and a lot of some opportunity. So that's worth looking at on the MLS. Economy is doing very well in that neighborhood right now. Beyond that, then the next jump for me ends up being like the reason I've done 200 flips in Hamilton, Overly, Parkville is because it's just really abundant. There's always deals there, but it's a hike. You know, it's a same hike for you as it is for me. I just chose to take that hike because I honestly just, I wanted to grow my business and I can only do so many flips in that area. Now, with the amount of flips you're doing now, just keep looking, honestly, and keep grinding because you will be able to get enough flips to do what you're doing in your area. And, if you get to my area where I've done a lot of deals, there's enough opportunities for everyone on this call and about 50 other people we don't know. That's how much opportunity it is in that area. But with that being said, it's a 40-minute ride for you. So it adds new problems, like driving problems. So I'm now staying with Tanya most of the time. She lives 15, 20 minutes away. So I'm just like, I'm kind of all in now with the neighborhood because like it always had the best opportunity. I just didn't like driving to it. Now it's actually closer than Glen Burnie for me. I'm still buying stuff in Glen Burnie, Brooklyn Park, and everywhere as I get it. But I've always done really well over in that neighborhood, and I love it. And I feel like there's never a time I can't get deals in it. I got literally this little list right here that I'm working on for some people in the group. Like my best deals are both in that area. One's 21206, 21206 actually. I've seen a bunch of stuff in 21225, Dundalk, Middle River, Pasadena. I actually seen one in Halethorpe, 21227. And, I'm looking at them all, but we'll see what happens on them. The two that I think I'm most likely to get are in 21206. So the zip codes I like over there are 21206, 21214, and 21234. They pretty much have most of what you'll need in those three good zip codes. Yeah, if I had to pick one area and I can only work in that one area, it would be that area. Just because I know I could never, it's like kind of easy work to find deals.
Right.
But keep looking where you're at. I do think that whatever you feel like the problem is now, that problem does go away. And it will get easier. It's just a matter of like right now for you, it's not over investing in any one deal because see, when you over invest, you like feel all the pain of it. Like that deal you were so close on and it felt like, you were pretty close. It almost worked out. Dude, you went all in and I love that you go all in and you should go all in. But when you go all in, the kickback of that is that when you lose, it's super painful. So, it's like, it sucks, man. And it makes you feel like you need to solve the problem of why I lost on one deal. But the reality is you don't have enough volume is why you're supposed to lose on one deal. You're supposed to lose on maybe 10 or 15 deals before you get one. So if you reset your expectations of like, I'm going to offer on 10 the same way I offered on that one, I would guarantee you that you've never offered on 10 deals and lost all 10. I know the offers you've made. I've been, working with you since then. So I kind of know what you've put in. And I would say your ratio of like offer to accepted offer is freaking high, honestly. Like seriously, it's really high. So the biggest mistake you can make is thinking that wasn't the case and then trying to change something that's working. I've made that mistake in the past where because I had a couple like incidents where I lost and I felt all the pain. I'm like, oh, I got to start sending mailers. Oh my God, I got to start doing this marketing thing. And the reality of what my coach and Tanya and everybody and I talked about like in the last couple of years is like, yeah, just why don't you just keep doing what you're really good at and be okay with losing and knowing that's part of the game. Because I don't know, man. I know you've done, I guess, like 5 or 6 deals now, and I feel like you've at best have looked at 20 or 30. So I mean, you're literally, if I had to guess, you're probably like 1 in 5 right now, or 1 in 6 on the offers you're making.
Yeah, that's the first one I've lost.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then I would just say move on and don't cry about it, right?
I can't help.
Don't. I know that's good though. You should feel that way, and that actually is a good sign. If somebody told me like if you hire a sales guy and he doesn't care when he loses, he'll never be any good. So, but it's the it's the catch-22. You should feel every bit of that pain and be butthurt about it. Don't overreact to it though, right? Don't go change what you're doing. Just go straight back to what you're doing and know that you're like literally probably 1 in 5, maybe less than 1 in 5. That's insanely good. If you can go to free sources and you're getting 1 in 5 of the deals you look at, that is a really crazy high ratio. If you're 1 in 15, it's profitable. right?
Yeah.
And but if you start getting 1 in 30 or 40, then you need to get better at it, right? You need to fix some things, but because time it takes to look at 30 houses is a lot. But I'm probably legitimately I might be in the 1 in 10 range, and I'm just really good at getting to 10 houses. Like that's the only thing I do better than anyone else. I just like went to 10 houses in the last day and a half, and I'm working on. I got 2 offers in on them, and I bet I'll end up probably getting one. Maybe not. If not, I'm gonna go do it again, and I can do that 3 times a week if I had to. Like if the next week I had to get 30 offers in, or next 3 weeks I had to get 30, 50, 40 offers in, I'd have no problem doing it. I would just keep doing it until there was no chance that one of them wouldn't fall through the cracks, and the gods wouldn't just drop down a house on me. Right? That is my math model. Now, and then when I do get really good is like when I get really narrow like you, where I'm going all in, it's once I've gotten some signs, right? Since I got some green lights. So what I've noticed about you is sometimes the lights are yellow, and you go through the yellow light or the red light even sometimes, because you're just like going all in, and that's good. You want to go all in. What I've learned to adjust, because I used to do that too, is I've learned to adjust that, okay, kind of qualify it before I go all in. I'm a little like, now I'm like, okay, let me just make sure before I put all the effort in. Now, once you get all the green lights, then go all in like you're doing. And that you can go all in like that is actually a huge benefit that's always going to help you win deals. But, when you go all in on something that technically wasn't really fully green, then you often are going to be like, shit, I should have did this instead. Right? That's it.
Do you recommend us get a backup lender? Because we have one and he's not lending.
Well, of course, yeah. I mean, you shouldn't even be putting any offers in until you deal with that, because if he's not lending right now, you got to get another one. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So if you can refer one to me eventually or something, that'd be great.
Yeah. I mean, well, did you ever check? You checked with Dominion, and did they ever get back with you or no?
I have to ask Nikki about that.
Yeah, ask Nikki about it and see, because obviously that would be one of the people I'd refer to you, because they were one of the ones that said they were still lending with no big changes. Yeah, I think that's.
I don't want to have a fantastic deal come across my lap here and then not be prepared for it.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, you shouldn't have any deals come across your lap until you got the money to buy them, because that's like
Right.
mental masturbation. There's nothing. You're right. I wouldn't want that either.
Mhm.
And they'll come. Like if you ain't got the money, they're gonna be like coming, beating your door down.
Yeah.
So and you're right. You don't want to put a big deposit. You don't want to do all that right now.
Right.
So even the deal you did, you probably would have won that if it just was a couple tweaks. You probably would have won. And that's just the way it is sometimes. And this is why you can't get too butthurt when you lose one deal, because like here's the thing I know. Like you can give yourself permission to make mistakes if you're working multiple things. But if you're all in on one deal and you make a mistake, it like hurts, man, because you're like, shit, if I just would have did this one thing, I likely would have got the deal. Which is easy to armchair quarterback it with you after the fact and tell you like, oh, TJ, if you'd have done this, you'd have won. Like that's so easy to do. But in the moment, not as easy, right? So even I'm very good at this. I'm very trained at it. I got a lot of experience, but I make mistakes. I just like filter them out by knowing that I have 2 or 3 houses that I'm all in on, right? And knowing that like, okay, I won't get all of them, but I'll definitely get one of them. And that's how it works, right? That's kind of the math model of what I'm doing. Getting all in, I know that there's probably other people on this call that feel like they might go all in on one house and just put their heart into it and it just doesn't work. Well, dude, that's what happens right now. And it definitely was more what happened 3 weeks ago. And honestly, I'm not seeing any change yet. I'm still seeing people act really stupid, multiple offers. I put in some offers today for like the group and just trying to get some deals for some students that are looking for more deals. And you know what? Everything was like, we're at highest and best. Like, what's your highest and best? So like, no, apparently nothing's slowing down. I know there's some people that aren't buying, but with that being said, it's just now the difference is they're not getting 15 offers, they're getting 8. Yeah, that's because of lenders leaving. Now they're getting 8 instead of 15, but they're still got 8 offers and they're still very abundant. So we're still acting just like nothing's changed. And where this could get really difficult, my big fear is, and people ask me like how I'm going to change, is I do think we should be buying and not overpaying right now. But I have a feeling that there's going to be an adjustment that we do. And unfortunately, it's probably the banks aren't going to adjust. Right? We're going to be in a situation where the banks are still getting premiums for the house, but we kind of don't want to pay a premium because now we don't want to feel like we're overpaying and potentially selling in a slightly declined market 3 and 4 months from now. So, I mean, that actually could be our biggest risk right now, is actually trying to find deals. I know it sounds crazy, But where I would say you could start looking, TJ, and everyone on the call who's actually going to be looking in the near future is, I think the thing like we talk about every time there's anything that goes down, there's something that comes up. Right now, I think the big thing that I'm going to be paying a lot of attention to is I'm putting offers in right now. And any offer I lose, I think following that offer is going to be the big thing, because you're going to see a lot of people fall out of contract right now, because not everyone is in a group where we're talking really positive. We're talking about facts. We're really studying the market, paying attention to what's going on. A lot of the information I'm sharing with you is very good information throughout the country. A lot of people are just on their own. And on their own, right? Think about what they're hearing. What do you think their mom's telling them, or their wife's telling them, or their brother-in-law's telling them, right? What do you think the people, at their poker game are telling them, or at their church, or whatever it might be? Probably nothing good, right? I mean, nothing good. And it's difficult when everyone around you saying, like, you need to stop investing in real estate. It's going to go away. Like, as smart as you could be, it's really difficult to have all those people around you and not be affected by it. So most people aren't as fortunate as this group. And this is part of why I love having this group. And it's one of the big pieces of value I get, is we get to be, very strong, positive, influences for each other to make sure we're actually really taking advantage of this opportunity. While a lot of other people will not be. I'm hearing a ton of people tell me, oh, my lender backed out, so I just didn't buy it. I'm like, why don't you go to another lender? And like, oh, well, I'm like, yeah, because you got convinced you shouldn't buy it, right? Because, if your lender backs out, go to another one. There are people still lending for sure. That I can tell you conclusively. But, will you have some lenders backing out? Sure. That's definitely going to be a big part of what's happening right now. Because some of the lenders can't take any risk at all. So it's not that what we're going through is like highly risky. If you're 67 years old, taking any risk at all might not be acceptable based on portfolio. Like, these guys have big portfolios they've built over 30, 40 years, and they just don't want to take any risk at all right now. They're just like, nah, I'm not doing anything because, I don't need to, for a couple of reasons. And I just don't, I don't want to be trying to make up for any problems that might come or might not. So people, they're in a position where they can just sit back and see what happens and come back at it when things are more clear. But most of the ones I've talked to have been like, dude, I completely get what you're saying, Mike. And I pretty much, if I had to bet on it, I would bet on you. But I'm like too old to really be wrong. And I'm like, totally makes sense, man. I get it. So the 3 out of 8 lenders that pulled out of the 8 that I talked to, that's what I was hearing from them. Is that, they're a little older and they just didn't want to, they don't want to take any big, any unknown risk right now. They just want to they want to have guaranteed results over the next 6 months. Fortunately, they're going to lose some money they could have made, but that's fine for them. They just don't care. It's not like the end of the world for them. They're more in protection mode than building mode. I would say we need to be in a little bit of building mode right now, but safely, obviously. We got to build safely. So anyone who doesn't have someone that's borrowing or lending to them, that's definitely something. And I'll get on in this next week or two. I'll start talking to more people, and I'll get a few lenders who are looking to lend. I know that Hard Money Bankers is lending. I know Dominion's lending right now from what they've said, but don't know if that's 100% true. Where are my list of lenders at? I had it right here. I talked to, I actually made a list, and I'll take out notes with all of them because so I'm getting kind of insane that I got all this stuff sitting on notepads. Why somebody should have sent these cards on my thing, because now I'm using them and I feel like I'm disorganized. And I spilled coffee on me the other day, so half of them are all a mess. All right, here's a list of everyone that wants deals. Where's the lenders at? I'll tell you who it is. I got the list somewhere. Yeah, it's it's probably in my Trello where it should be, in the right place, not actually in these cards. I'll let you guys know, but I'll start working on it for you. And honestly, does anyone else in the group know people that are lending, or outside of the few people we talk to? If you want to post it up, that's good. Anyone. So it's all good. So if you guys have some specific people you're working with. I know we're all going to Platinum Partners. That was one person, but I don't think we'll all be able to keep going to them, because what I found is they might not have unlimited money. So I would plan on them running out of money in the near future. If you're doing a deal with them right now, you're fine. But like, I would not want to just be like, oh, that's my guy, because my guess is they're going to run out of money eventually, because they were not like completely, unlimitedly funded. So, Any other questions I can help with from anyone?
Hey, Mike.
Hey.
Quick question. Well, it's actually two questions. But first, for roof certifications, do you have to be a licensed contractor to actually do one, or I would think you would? Okay.
You do. Yep. Yeah, I have a home improvement license in order to do it.
Gotcha. And now for paint, we're going to get paint started hopefully sometime this week, and we're trying to, I guess, get a better understanding of. I mean, we have a $400 budget of paint, but we're not sure exactly.
What is you have $400 budget for paint? You're talking about exterior paint or interior?
Yeah,
paint?
exterior paint.
Okay, so you're not painting the house. That's just the 400 must just be like to paint the foundation and stuff, maybe the deck or the foundation, things like that. If you only got $400, then it means we were thinking about maybe power washing, and I think you could. I think I remember your place was in pretty good shape. You might just be able to power wash it.
Oh, so what, painting is going to be more?
Well, if you paint the whole house, it would be more than 400. Yes.
Oh, okay.
I don't think I was planning on that.
Gotcha. I thought we were painting because we have like $1,200 of labor for painting.
Oh, sorry. So you do have money to paint the whole house then?
Yeah, no, that's just for the paint. That's just for
Oh
the
God,
paint.
yeah, that's more than enough. You only need like to paint the outside of the house. You'll need like 15 to 20 gallons of the exterior paint for the walls, and then about 5 gallons of white for the trim. And so in that stuff, you should be, if you're going to Sherwin-Williams, you should be running about $60 for 5 gallons. You can get it at Home Depot for around the same price. So, $240 just for that paint, about $100, $340. Yeah, you'll be right around $400. It'll be right in that ballpark.
Gotcha. Okay, I just wanted to double check.
I would say you can get the painting of the house done cheaper than $1,200 too, just so you know. Because
yeah, so what we did, we kind of bundled things up. We kind of had the guy do. We're having him do the soffit, the gutters, and some of the siding, painting, framing, and a few other things for $1,400.
Oh, cool. Perfect. Yeah, throw some other things in. I like that. I think that's good advice for everyone in the group. Often, we think we're just going to get stuff done for the price we have. Throw some other little odds and ends in there so that way you don't have to pay for those. When someone's there, a lot of times people do many different things for you. Painting that house takes 2 people, 2 days, 3 days max.
Right, yeah. So it's 2 of them. Yeah, so we kind of got them just doing a lot of odds and ends. Just so, I mean, we pretty much, I mean, Billy and I came up with the idea since, I mean, things are kind of uncertain now. We're just going to start throwing like $2,000-$3,000 worth of work to our guys and just pay him like weekly $1,400 to, really get, detailed on a budget and cut it down as much as possible because we're getting a little tight.
Yeah, man, that's how you want to do. I mean, look, you want to do that regardless of Corona or anything. Your ability to cut that down, man, is like essentially directly correlated to your likelihood to have success in this business.
Right.
Yeah, man. I like that you're pounding people down, and anything you can cut on right now, do it. This is a unique time where you can do that. Look, you can do it anytime, but you can really do it now.
Gotcha. And then one last question. So how much typically should we pay for a roof certification?
$300-$400 usually. It also, I mean, just for the certification itself, it's like $300 to $400. But usually they're going to say like, "Hey, we need to do a couple things to certify." So that generally, I would say somewhere between $400 to $1,000. And keep in mind the 3 to 4 is for the certification, but then the repairs usually are going to be $500 or $600, just depending, because they generally have to do some kind of repairs.
Gotcha. Okay, appreciate that.
Yeah. So I mean, I usually put $1,000 in just for a roof cert, assuming
Yeah. So we got like $1,200.
Yeah, well,
we had a price of $2,000. Yeah, because we got like $500 for repairs and certification, but the guy, he just like wrote up an invoice, something that I could write, and said he's certified that the roof is good. And I'm like, what's your number? Like, what's your MHIC number? And then
he just get Marlo to certify it for that case. Like Kim would do it for you for $150, right? She's available. Like send her some pics. She'll sign something. She'll be like, I certify this. Here's my Google Voice number that I'll show.
I think isn't it a test that a roofer has he has to have a special license to certify roofs?
No, I mean it's a home improvement license. If you have a home improvement license,
so I could do roof certifications.
Yeah, if you have a home improvement license, you can. I do them because I have a home improvement license. Yeah, you definitely could do it. I mean,
what do you got certified then?
Home improvement. You got a home improvement license. They're kind of difficult to get, but you can get it if you want. It's not, you don't need to know anything about home improvement. It's just laws.
You
But
just got to
yeah.
prove 2 years of employment in the home improvement.
Yeah, so that's the thing. So, but I could, any of us could be like, yeah, he worked with me for 2 years or whatever, right? That's the thing is, I had to go through a lot of shit for it. It was like a headache, and you got to get bonded. It's a little bit of, if you're not just getting it to try to get a roof cert, it ain't worth that. I got it for my flooring store. I would not have got it as a house flipper. I just happened to have it and never got rid of it. So I'm like, oh, cool, I can use it for this. So like, I can literally do in a home improvement if I wanted to legally. Whether I will or not, probably not, but I can write my own roof certs. So, and I only started writing my own roof certs. Like I've had my own improvement license for 20 years. I only started writing my own roof certs in the last like 2 years because I just started with my uncle. I was like, we had a really good unlicensed guy who was really good at what he did. And we're like, why don't we just use him? And like, I could literally just write the roof certs. And I just started thinking like, why not do that? Because he was awesome. Right. So, I mean, that's like, I had not done it though the 8 years before that because I just, even though I had the license, it's not something I would go out of my way to get unless there's like a bigger picture for it, because it costs a lot to keep it every year. You got to pay money to keep it every year, and there's things you got to do. So there's no reason to do all that if you're just trying to write roof certs. I do write roof certs, and I write and can sign off on my own repairs, which is kind of cool. And so I've actually renamed my company. It's called Restore House Construction, and I actually have a legal company, and I've put on the header that it's we specialize in structural repairs and roofing, and all the things I write letters for is basically what it says I specialize in. So I was like, yeah, cool. And the name doesn't say Mike Green; it says Stephen Munn, which is my project manager. If anyone looks up, they'll know that I'm actually the guy who's writing it, but no one ever does. They never call me out on it. So, we just did that. So, because you technically aren't really supposed to write your own repairs and sign off on your own repairs, but I am, and I trust that they're being done well. And if someone calls me back, I kind of like what I found when I had this old roofer. People call him back, and then he wouldn't do the work, and then they'd sue me. And I'm like, I'm not the one who gave you a roof cert. He did. You gotta go after him. You can't come after me because he didn't honor it. And so I was like, some level, I didn't mind. You definitely want someone a home improvement license because they have a reason to honor what they say. Some random dude writing a letter could just be like, F you, and then it's going to come back on you. Like they'll come back, not saying they can win, just so you know, like, but they can't really win, but it isn't about winning. They could tie you up financially with, lawsuits and stuff, give you a bunch of headaches and distractions that you don't want. So yeah, man. So get a licensed guy. Yeah, it is going to be, when someone cares, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. So get someone who is actually going to fix it, because the worst thing you could do is like not fix it correctly, and then there'd be a leak in the next 2 years. So you're from being a good person point, well, let's just say forget being a good person. We do want to run through the filter of being a good person, but if you don't do it correctly, when they get a home inspection, they're going to call it out. Say, no, this roof has not been certified. This roof is a piece of shit. Period.
Even if I do have a certification from somebody?
If it's all a mess, yeah. If the guy who certified it just like didn't do a good job, for sure, they're going to say, hey, I see you got a certification, but so what? This is not done correctly. So, that person certifying it definitely should be doing a job good enough that a home inspector will look at it and say, yeah, there's not a bunch of loose ends.
Gotcha.
Because if they think it's done incorrectly, they might, they're not going to care if you got an inspection or a certification or not. They're just going to be like, this roof sucks and you need to get it like someone professional out to look at it. These guys are lying. So that's why, like, someone doing the work, you want to trust that they're actually doing the work correctly and making it right. And, not just, it is a fine line between replacing it and actually saving it. We trust the guy we have now because he's actually a long-term family friend and somebody Steve, my project manager, grew up with. He was a friend of mine growing up. So we like him and trust him. And he really is very good. He tries to save roofs when he can and repair them when he can. And then, he replaces them if he has to. But, so, he's always right on that line of like, trying to keep it, but not going overboard. And it's difficult to know if someone's going to come from that place or not. Be careful. Like, everybody's trying to use like Dave Charis or whatever, like from that guy. Like, I don't recommend using him because he's just like replace everything. And then when he does want to do work, he wants to charge you a lot more for it than he's actually worth. So he's a guy that makes money. So he runs a good roofing company.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, if any of you guys want to do one of our roof certs, I mean, we'll be glad to have it if you have a license.
TJ, you need to make some money? Huh?
What do you mean? I didn't hear what you said.
Roof certification.
He wants a roof cert?
Yep.
Bring it to me.
Yeah, he'll do it for you, but you need to fix it. Somebody needs to fix it. So if you could
Yeah.
get someone to fix it, you could outside pay like somebody like TJ if he knew he wanted to write it or he was willing to take the risk. But obviously for TJ and same for me, anytime you write a roof cert, trust the people doing it because if they call you a year later, you have to honor it, right?
Right.
But
Okay.
so as long as I don't mind writing a roof cert, as long as I believe the person doing the repairs are going to do them right, because it doesn't take a lot to get a roof to last 2 years. That's all you're really certifying is that it's going to last 2 years. And if you're using, I can actually share my roof cert with TJ or anyone else too. And if you're using a roof cert, there's a lot of holes in that roof cert too, saying basically like there's a storm or, there's any kind of like high wind storms that they wouldn't be liable for that or,
Hail damage.
yeah, like hail damage, but even just a storm, because in a storm, some shingles can pop off and, they'll call you back and say, my roof's leaking. And you can be like, hey, a bunch of shingles popped off and from the storm we had. And, that's not covered, but, I can fix it for $1,000. That's why a lot of people don't mind giving certifications because most of the time they just get out of them and then end up getting new business from it. Because they got about 800 outs in them. They're kind of like almost a waste, but done correctly. For me, I just fix the stuff, but because I'm not truly like a roof company. But
Me either.
yeah, and that's so if you're doing it, obviously it isn't worth somebody doing it to make $300-400 unless they actually had the ability to come back and do the repair themselves cheaply. Like a roof company could go out there and it cost them nothing to fix it. So it's kind of worth it to them. And honestly, it's like for them, it's long-term business. So they like doing the cert because everybody's like, why would they do it for $300 or $400? Well, it ain't the $300 or $400 they're doing it for. They know that likely you're going to come back and they know if the roof was done correctly, it should not leak in 2 years. The main reason it likely will leak is because something happened, like thunderstorm, something that blew a shingle off, something knocked something loose, and then they'll be off the hook and they'll get paid to do that work. They'll actually be the first. Actually, they're actually creating future business, so they'll make money there, and then maybe they'll be like, hey, maybe it's a good time to like replace this part or do this or upgrade that. So that'll be $48,000 for me to put a new gutter on for you. That's my pricing. That's why I'm not a contractor. Like, nobody would pay me $48,000 to do a gutter.
Yeah.
Even with my half price sale, they wouldn't pay me, TJ. I'm like, half price, 24. And people are like, nope. I'm like, I'm doing 90% off today. 4,800, I'll do the gutter. And nobody's wanted it, man. I'm like, shit, I have to start becoming a house flipper. What else can I help you guys with? PD, I think, so you're doing well in that. Take your time, get the roof done correctly, obviously, make sure it's right. Because it is one of those things that will cause deals to fall apart if your roof sucks and somebody certifies it and the inspector is just basically like, look, this roof should not have been certified. I got like Matt, one of the students in the higher level group, I had to partner with him on a deal and it really went bad because like what I wasn't paying attention to, he got like some crackhead to certify the house. And I ended up like fighting saying like, dude, we got a certification. And they jumped out of contract. And then we got under contract with someone new. And I was like, cool. And guess what they said? The roof is a mess and needs to be replaced. I'm like, we got a certification. But before I jumped out of contract on that one and argued with them, I said, let me get my car and go look at it. And I went, and Matt kept saying it was great. He's like, no, it's awesome, man. The roof's good. They're just being picky. I go out there and the roof was a train wreck. I'm like, holy crap. Like, who signed off on this? Basically got like a crackhead to sign off on it. It was not good. So we ended up replacing the roof, and we should have replaced it with the last offer, and it just ended up being what it was. Right, we couldn't get away with it, unfortunately. So you don't really want to do that. He felt like he was saving money and kind of helping us out, but he really was. It was not smart to do so. What he did, I assumed when he told me everything was good like 4 times that it was good, but it really wasn't. It was really not. It was not acceptable. It was basically a bad roof that he was just trying to get certified and get someone to take. And people don't want to buy houses with bad roofs. Actually, bad roofs are the number one reason that people go into foreclosure. I don't know if you know that. So that's why usually the lenders want to have a certification, right? And then inspect.
What if the roof is functioning but old looking? What do you do?
So they're going to guess. So what an inspector is going to do is guess the age of it and how much useful life it has. And generally, I find that I have a lot of problems if the roof feels to be over 10, 12 years old. Because even though it still has a lot of life, then there's going to be a lot of discussion had around. So if the roof doesn't have at least 10 years left on it, they're probably going to tell you they want to replace it. And the thing is, it's really difficult to know if the roof is 10 or 15 years old. But so if the roof starts to look worn, like clearly look worn, you're probably going to have to replace it.
Yeah, it looks worn, but it's not leaking. And my roofer, he's actually did the roof from the other house, is doing $62 a square now labor, which I can't beat. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, that's really cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's super cheap. So
Here it
I
is.
mean,
right
a
here.
house like yours, that's not even that many squares, right? I mean, you could probably get that done super cheap. And did you know that we have that deal going at Home Depot still? If you buy 12 squares, you can get you can get 3 architectural shingles for like $70 or something, like a really cheap price, but you got to buy 12.
Really? Yeah, 16 square roof. He's going to do it for 1,000 labor.
Yeah, that's really good. It's awesome, dude. That's cheap. And so if you buy, are you using my account whenever you buy stuff, or do you have a managed account?
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. So ask them about the deal. And if it's over 12 squares, you can get the stuff that costs like $100 a square for like 70. And you're getting like a 25, 30-year roof. And so it's like a really big upgrade. Looks nice. And it's cheap, but you got to buy 12 squares or more. It sounds like you are. It
Yes.
makes the price go down substantially. It's a 30% discount.
Wow. Oh, yeah. Cool.
I'm pretty sure they're still running it. I asked Steve recently. He said yes, but check with them. It's cheaper than any supplier out there right now. They're trying to beat out like Superior and all the other suppliers. So they're just running a really good deal. If they didn't have that deal, then what you would do instead is buy the 3-tab, which you can get for about the same price, which is just a cheaper roof, like a 20, 25-year roof. It looks great. It's new. Who cares? But right now you're actually getting the highly upgraded roof for the same price as the cheaper roof, maybe even a little cheaper actually.
Yeah. Plus that texture on the roof, I think looks better.
It does look good, and it's something I feel like it's something that people see and they're like, oh yeah, it's a really nice new roof on there. And it's like, oh, 30-year roof, all these guys. It makes it look like you overspent, like you didn't cut a corner. But I'm still not going to do it if I got to pay more for it. But if I can get it for the same price, it's a no-brainer. It just adds value without adding cost.
Okay.
Cool. Who else can I help? Any other questions from anyone?
Mike, I have a general question for you.
Sure.
Yeah, as far as like this stay-at-home shelter-in-place order, is that going to impact like a contractor's ability to do work? Do you anticipate it affecting their ability to do work?
Can you say that again, Marlo? I maybe speak up a little bit. I heard half of what you said, and I don't want to answer it correctly.
Like for the shelter-in-place order, is that going to impact any of our subcontractors' ability to do work?
No, I read on that today. So right before we got on the call, they consider all real estate, even agents showing properties, is all considered an essential activity. With that being said, they said some harsh words of like, well, Governor Hogan has said that it's legal for you to show properties, but in the spirit, we believe as realtors in the spirit, you should not be doing it. So I was like, well, that's bull crap. I mean, if he's saying it's legal and it can be done, then shut your big fat realtor mouth. The brokers are just a trip. So there will be some people that don't show houses right now, but I think Ray said this earlier in our other group, it's just going to get the real killers are going to be out there. The people who just look at the law, follow the rules, get shit done. You're probably not going to have the weaker agents running around with people right now. And a lot of people are being creative. They're going in houses, they can let their people come in. They can go look at houses for their clients and do FaceTime. So we're finding that people are being very creative right now. So legally, construction is considered essential, and so there's no downside to it right now. It is legal for a construction worker to go do construction. So what you might be aware of is that construction people make a lot of excuses. Right. So I think Michael Chow told me some of his guys were making excuses saying that, oh, they don't want to work in the house if someone else is in there. So I'm not if someone says that to you, just say, hey man, I respect your, whatever you're saying. And then you just, but I'm going to have to get someone else to do it, the work. If you don't want to work in there, it's all good. So, I'm not saying have 18 people in your house, but he's got one random dude running around. He shouldn't be afraid to have we're allowed to have up 10 people together. And you're never going to have 10 people working in your house. And that would be my only advice. So I don't think it's going to slow you down. Home Depot's open. It's legal for people to do construction right now. Do I think some people are going to use it as an excuse? Yeah, for sure, man. Because contractors are opportunistic, and they're definitely going to be pulling some of this shit out. Remember I told you I've heard in 11 years, I've literally heard every excuse 25 times. And I've had people use the same excuse on me twice because they forgot they did it, right? They forgot they told me it 2 years before that. Well, we now have a new excuse, right? We have something we've never had an opportunity. The coronavirus is now going to create new lies, new excuses, new bullshit we got to deal with. So, it's just going to be, if they give you any kind of crap, just work through it. Now, this is true in Maryland where it is still legal for people to work. There are some states that are maybe on the call where that's not the case and it's not legal. Do a little research. I read just, like a 5-page document before I got on the call today about what is legal, what isn't legal. And when we listened to his speech yesterday, it was about an hour long, and he wasn't very clear on what was legal. So I had to go to like the actual law, because he made it feel like everyone was just locked in the house and none of us could work. And then I go in there and it's like nothing's been changed. It's just now they're just making it illegal. Before it wasn't actually anything they were just suggesting that, so basically what they're really focusing on here in Maryland is there's a bunch of stupid kids having parties and stuff. And they want to be able to stop it, like legally stop it. Like they're having parties with 50, 60 people. And that's just like really irresponsible. And it's happening a lot. It isn't like the one time it happened, right? There's just a bunch of people that are getting a little stir crazy sitting at home. And they're kind of trying to, fix that problem by having a bunch of house parties, right? And I guess that's just going to be like Corona spreading parties, essentially. This is, so that's they want to stop that, and I don't blame them. But they don't want to shut the economy down, the essential things. Like if your roof is leaking, the reason they can't shut construction down is like if your roof was leaking, what are you supposed to wait till the shutdown and just drowned and be like, yeah, my roof leaked and just destroyed my whole home, and now I gotta, I can't afford to fix it. Of course, you have to be able to call a contractor, let them go to Home Depot and fix the roof and fix things. So they don't want our community deteriorating while we're on this shutdown. So that's why they've left construction essential. And they don't want the real estate market to crash. So they've not stopped realtors from showing. Also, a realtor showing their clients a house, especially a vacant home, is not really a big way of spreading coronavirus, right? It's actually a pretty safe thing to do. They're just right now, we just got to get away from we can't have concerts and a bunch of stuff where a bunch of people are all around each other. Like you can't have real estate seminars and all that stuff is irresponsible right now. So that's just the reality of it. But they're taking some stiff action, and it's not because they're taking this stiff action because there's a lot of people being disrespectful of what's going on. So it says $62.50 a square roofing is good. Is that a re-roof price? I imagine tear off is more expensive. TJ, obviously that's just a layover price of $62.50 a square, or he tears it off. He's tearing it off, and does you haul it away or what?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm responsible for hauling it away. So
if you've got one layer of roof, he would just go over that, though, correct? For the same price.
No, he's tearing it off.
He's tearing off even one layer of roof?
Yeah.
Just for the fun of it?
That's what he likes to do. He doesn't like going over top of them, he said.
Okay, whatever. All right. So if you had 3 layers, he's not going to charge you more?
Yeah, it's like an extra $10 a square.
Yeah, it's stupid cheap. But I bet he's in and out quick, isn't he? What's he like, 1, 2 guys or something?
There's 5 of them. They're there about half a day.
Oh, cool. Cool. So this is you found him on Craigslist or somebody you know?
No, I found him through the guy who used to do our windows. I can't remember his name. Dave?
Okay.
Dave Davis.
Dave Davis. That's a cool name. All
Yeah.
right, cool.
Anyway, we got him through that, and we actually had, when Dave Davis fucked up a bunch of our windows, this guy came over and fixed them for him and did like.
Is Dave Davis the one that did all the terrible caulk?
Yeah.
I remember us talking about that in Costa Rica, where you couldn't caulk a window. Yeah, it's sad.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
All right.
yeah, I met him through there, and the guy redid all the windows for me and did the roof on the 17th Avenue house we just did. And
Sweet.
Yeah.
Dude, that's very affordable. So that's a very good roofing price, which proves the point. I think we tell people it should be around $100 a square to do roof. You can actually make pretty good money at $100 a square.
Yeah.
Nick Blackburn put an ad on, he just put a post on Baltimore Investor Network and said, hey, I got 18 squares and I want to pay someone $1,800 to do it. And every single person on there laughed at him and said he was an idiot. And of course I got on there because he tagged me, and I'm like, please stop getting me on here, because I want to like punch my screen with these fucking, I'm sorry I'm cussing, guys. Sorry about that. But I get pissed off because I'm like, these guys are giving awful advice. And they're people that have been flipping for a long time. So like, it's hard to not take their advice when you're newer, because they've been doing this a very long time. Some have been flipping 10 years. Some of them are even coaches even. And they're just like, you're an idiot. You'll never get it done for that price. And then, and I'm just like, hey guys, like, it's a standardized price. Like I've been getting it done for that price for years, even cheaper sometimes. And like one dude agreed, and like 16 dudes said we were stupid. And of course, Nick went and got it done for that price eventually. He ended up getting it done for like $1,900, something close to the price. and then went back on there and was like, "You guys are dumb." Funny part is, and I think one of my students even said he was stupid, and my long-term student. I'm like, and I text him, I'm like, "You posted on there." He's like, "Oh, I was just messing with everyone, dude. I just like riling everyone up." Like when they get all crazy, he's like, I'm like, I was wondering what you were doing on there. He's like, likes to play games. He's on there just messing with everyone and just like trolling. And I was like, oh, now I wonder if everyone else is doing that. Like, is it just like a troll site where they just like make fun of everyone? It's like the
Yeah,
worst.
The only thing
worst
with my guy is you got to have materials there for him.
Okay. So you just get them delivered or you got them like rooftop delivery or?
Well, yeah. Well, no, I just go pick them up in my dump trailer.
Okay. But you can get them delivered from Home Depot for
Yeah.
free.
Right. And I told him, I was like, man, I need gutters on this one here. He goes, all right, I'll put the gutters up for a couple $100. And they're 43-foot long. And so he went all the way down to Roof Center and put 43-foot long gutters on this fucking roof rack and brought them back to the house.
Wow. Well, there you go. So, I mean, you got a crappy guy, but then you got a good person from him. I think something you can take from TJ's story is that sometimes you get crappy contractors, but when you do get any contractor trying to get referrals from them can be really good because they likely know someone who's good. And so, you know, you got someone pretty awesome to do your roofs. That's one thing you don't have to worry about now. Right?
No, he
That's
does everything.
cool. What else does he do for you? Just roofs? He does siding, you said, like windows and
Roof, siding, window, everything. If he doesn't do it, he's got a brother that does it.
oh, okay. So he's doing your rehab for you essentially.
Well, no, not right now. I mean, I'm doing the rehab. I'm just trying to get comfortable with him. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, but he can do a lot. So he sounds valuable. Awesome, man. Well, who else had a question? I think also somebody. I think that was Dave had that question. So yeah, that's a good price. And I'm sure you guys can find other people that'll do it really cheaply. So just don't, you're going to get people coming out and telling you, hey, this is 15 squares and we need $6,000 to do it. Know that the materials cost you about $100, no matter what. And, $100 of material to do a roof and $100 to do it. It should be at $200 to do it. If you don't have tear off, if you only have one layer, you can lay over it. So you don't have to, tear it off. If it's one layer, it's kind of a waste of energy and time unless somebody has to do it. So if you're $200, 15 squares would be $3,000. So if you're telling me, Mike, I can get it done for $3,000 to $3,500, that's fine. But if you're trying to pay like 5 and 6 and 7K, which you will definitely get estimates for that, just don't pay that. That's a very high price. That's someone making a lot of profit. All right? I mean, honestly, if you want to pay that, I'll do it for you. I'm sure probably TJ will do it for you.
Yep.
So, how much are you at, TJ, if they want to hire you to do a roof?
$1,000 a square.
Dude, you're okay. I was trying to hook you up, man. Like, because
No,
you
I don't-
probably seriously though, you probably can make a spread and people would be happy to pay you and you can make some money. So,
Yeah.
it's something to think about. And be fair. It would be fair for everyone else too, right?
I have one more question for you.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
We're doing that on that Furnace Branch Road. We're just going to do like, a lipstick thing. And do you recommend that roof, doing the roof?
How bad is it?
I'll show you. Hold on.
Yeah, you want to share a screen or anything? Oh, I'm not gonna be able to see that. I mean, I kind of see what you're talking about. Do you think it don't look like it's in bad shape. It just looks dirty. Could it be soft washed or something?
Yeah, it can be soft wash. It's just old. That's all.
Yeah. I mean, does it feel like the tile, like the granular stuff on is deteriorating on the roof, or it's just a little dirty? I mean, it seems very flat and like it's not in awful shape. So, I mean, obviously, if you'd be willing to soft wash it, repair it, and certify it, I mean, you might get away with it. That would be my advice.
Okay.
Give it a
That
shot.
kind of looks like our roof.
Yeah. If it's just a little dirty, then, I mean, if it's real flat, then fine, but get a roofer that wants to sign off on it. Because if, you can't get any roofer to sign off on it, that's probably some feedback that you might want to replace it, right? Or do something with it. Because if no one's willing to sign their name to it. Now, keep in mind, most roofers are going to just tell you to replace it. But, if you talk to enough of them, there'll be somebody. Basically, what I do, like, okay, here's a great example. We had Nancy and Jim on earlier, and they got a roofer, and I think they referred him to someone else. And he was actually pretty affordable, and he definitely came from a place of like, hey, man, I can just fix this up, and, you don't need to replace this, and, we can write something for it. And I don't know if he actually even had a home improvement license, but he definitely was like, they were looking to kind of just repair stuff, and they were definitely thoughtful of that. Right. So they might not have been able to write a certification, but if you could find someone you trust and like, I wouldn't worry all that much about the certification if you can get it done right. You might be able to just pay someone separately to certify it and then So really just making sure the roof is good is the key and that it's in good shape. No loose ends. So yeah, man, that might be, you might be able to save it. Gather some information, Petey, and then you'll know, like, and then we'll talk more about it, obviously, because it's difficult, right? I'd like to be able to tell you one way or the other, but there's no line in the sand that determines whether a roof needs to be done or not. Sometimes it's just clearly bad, and sometimes it's clearly good, but often it sits right in that little middle place, right, where it's like, depending on who looks at it, kind of thing.
Yeah,
that's
it kind
what
of
it takes. Sorry, go ahead, man.
And it looks like there's a leak around the vent, like I guess like around the vent area. So I'm not sure if I guess what we should do with that. I mean, obviously it has to be some sort of repairs, but I'm not sure if that signifies the replacement of the whole roof. I doubt that.
Well, I would say that actually signifies that where number one places roof leaks happen is where there's any kind of termination or there's any kind of vent pipe. So, it's common that those areas would leak because, what does happen in a roof is your shingles last 25 years, but the caulk that's put around that pipe probably won't, right? That's going to deteriorate way faster. That probably a couple years even. So when we see leaks, often we're always questioning, is the whole roof just a wreck or is it just like a vent pipe that's leaking? A vent pipe actually starts to make me more feel better about it. It's not really the roof leaking as much as the vent pipe, because that's easily fixed. Like you can put a boot on that, you can caulk it back up, you can make it like brand new, and it'll never leak again.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that would be an easy fix if that's all that is. But again, get someone to tell you, maybe ask. So here's a great question for everyone to ask is like, how old do you think the roof is? Right? Get an opinion on how old you think it is. And if they tell you think it's 10 to 12 years old, you probably can get away with it. If they tell you it's like 18 to 20 some years old, then it's going to be a little tough to pass that along. I can talk people out of anything. However, there's some things I get pushed in there. There's like limitations of what I can talk people into. So this house that we're flipping right now in Green Hill, if you guys seen on the video, the house I told you I flipped 10 years ago. Well, it was really interesting because I was like, Steve, maybe we can save the roof. And he's like, dude, I remember hearing you on the phone with these people and you convinced them to keep this roof. And this roof had 3 layers on it and it was 14 years old back then. That was 10 years ago, and it had 3 layers, which when you have 3 layers, it's automatically bad because that's structurally supposed to be a problem. But I somehow convinced them to take the 3 layers and buy the house. And by the way, the roof was leaking, and that was why they probably got foreclosed on. So I don't know. I'm glad. I'm not saying that you don't want to do it from being a mean person, but sometimes we don't want to, we don't want to be so crazy with it, right? We want to be reasonable. If the roof's in good shape, it's got life. I hate throwing it away and being wasteful. But if it's clearly bad, then you just got to go with it. But get a couple estimates and let's talk a little more about it. And then maybe, because since I know your roof is somewhat in that middle ground and there's going to be a little more of a decision that needs to be made, let's go ahead and make that decision once you get a little feedback. Okay.
Gotcha. Appreciate it.
Yeah, cool, man. How about everyone else? Is everyone else doing good or need anything? Well, just for everyone who's on the call now, I have been looking for deals. I know there's a few people there, looking for deals right now on the call. I know it's probably like Brian and also Marlo and maybe TJ in the near future. And I don't know who 301 is. I can't tell because it doesn't have your name on there, but you probably be looking for them. So I've got a bunch I look for. I had 10 deals I looked at just so you guys can see. I looked at these 10 deals over the last 2 days, and I got 2 offers in the day. And we'll see how they work out. They were on, remember I told you guys I don't normally do like those online bidding systems. Both my offers were on those online bidding systems. The only reason I'm giving it a shot right now is because Ray and I have been discovering like a little bit of a little kind of a backdoor hack. Like this is kind of how we get deals. We always just kind of see things that are working. And what has been working pretty well for him in New Jersey, and I've yet to prove it in Maryland, whether it works or not. So I'm telling you about it, but don't be like, Mike, you said this is awesome. Check with me in a month or 2 and I'll tell you if it's working now. What has been really good for him, and as the time I've worked with him and helped him build out his acquisition up there, is everything he does up there is like, propoffer.com, ResNet, eBrokerage. It's all these like online bidding things. He almost never wins the deal off the bat. But what happens often is because his houses are in pretty good shape, he's generally competing against homeowners who think they can buy the house because it looks like, oh, it's not that bad. But, they always are buying it with a contingency of an inspection. And maybe they're paying $20K more than Ray. and or 30 or 40, who knows, right? They're paying more. So the bank's obviously going to take that and try to get the most money. But generally what happens quite often is they get an inspector in there and they realize, oh, it might not be that old of a house, but it does need a lot of work and we're not willing to do that work. And if they get estimates for that work, it's going to be much higher than what like Ray would pay. So he ends up getting the deal back when they don't follow through. I think that the reason that I put both these online offers right now, I think there's a lot of people that are going to bid and then go get the funding. Like they pay 10, 20K more than me. What they're going to run into potentially, because what I am hearing from lenders right now is they're not looking to lend on bad deals. So if someone pays 20K more than me, there's a good chance they're going to go to their lender and that lender is going to be like, nope. You know, like, because they're going to know they paid 20K more. Now, 4 weeks ago, lenders were just like, whatever, you know, let's just get the money out there. It's coming back, right? It's all good. You know, everything's awesome in the world. I think right now they're going to be actually looking at ARVs and they're going to be like looking at ratios and they're not going to be looking to make no stupid loans. So I think there's going to be a high ratio of people who are bidding on these online sites and winning. And then I want to be in the mix so that I can potentially be put as a backup offer and just follow up with it. So I'd say following up right now is huge. Brian, in PG County, one of the things I'm going to be attacking and looking at with you is obviously any deal you get into and you lose, follow up and see if it actually finishes and goes to settlement, because there's really going to be a good chance that things will not go to settlement right now. And because they're going to, when people are overpaying and beating you out, there's a really good chance they're going to run into some resistance or someone telling them they overpaid. And, you know, with a little bit of the market not being phenomenal, people are more sensitive to that stuff right now. So I am looking at one of my avenues to get deals is going to be areas where I get beat out, but I'm pretty confident there's going to be a high ratio of fallout. So that's what Ray's been making almost all his money with up in New Jersey, because a lot of people just don't follow through, and then he just gets to come in the back door and buy it and get a good deal on it. And often when no one else is competing on it. So they literally will just be like, hey man, like you're the backup offer. Do you want it? He's like, yep. And you don't have to even fight over it. So I'm going to make those offers. I'm going to test it and test the theory out and see if anything's changed now that we're in the middle of a pandemic. I might be able to get some of these things through because the fallout rate might be higher. The reason that wasn't a practical way of doing business a month ago is because, people would actually settle. Like they'd pay 30K more and they go find the money and it was easy. They go to banks and even get it, right? They were just going everywhere and it was super easy to get and pay too much for properties. That's definitely changed a little bit. You're going to have to, if you want funding now, the deal has to make sense. Basically like it's always should have been, and it's been getting a little loose lately before this went down. So that looseness is definitely, they're reeling that back a little. So there's a really big opportunity in essentially putting an offer in, and then following up with the agent saying, hey, look, I put an offer in, how's things going? How's your deal looking? You might be pleasantly surprised. Actually, most of my students that are getting deals in PG counties have been getting it through being backup offers, following up, checking in with people, saying, hey, like making an offer that they said no to the day. And then 3 weeks later, like, yeah, we'll consider it. So, it's a little bit of a process, and follow-up's always been king, but I think it's going to bring a lot more return on investment right now. Because, yeah, man, I feel like there's just so much emotion going on right now that emotion makes people just make quick decisions and, change their mind. So, yeah, and remember, that's who's beating you, right? When you go to fight for these deals, who's beating you? Someone who really didn't look at the numbers right. The difference is now they might not follow through. In the past, they might have followed through even though they weren't comfortable. So anyhow, that's something to think about. And so I'm putting some offers in. I'll keep filling you guys in. Any questions around any offer making, looking for deals right now? Anything. I'm also checking HUD right now. So I actually did all that off the MLS, and I'm getting ready to go through HUD, and I'm just looking at everything. So this is my process, just so you guys know. I just keep looking, making some offers. The way it works for me is I looked at 10 deals. I analyzed those deals. Some of them I seen, I decided to not make an offer on. Many reasons. They're too small, too weird, bad neighbors, crappy stuff I didn't really want to deal with. So, I only made offers on 2 of them, and some of the others I might make offers on, but the 2 I made offers on out of the 10 were, I'll tell you the exact numbers, by the way, I got them right here. So one was listed for, on Wilshire, listed for 74, and I offered 111. So that's a good deal, by the way. It was rehabbed like 5 years ago, so it needs like 40K or 35K, but it's worth like 220. So paying 111, put 40K in it, that's 150. worth 220, it's about 35, 36K profit. Easy deal too, by the way, right? I'm really into easy deals right now, obviously, because, you know, we could have like a lack of supplies or, you know, things getting a little tighter. So I really don't want to take on like 100K renovations if I don't have to. Not saying I won't take one on, but if I have a choice, yeah, I'm focusing. The other one I made an offer on was 109, and I offered I think 115, 116 on it. So, you know, a little over list, but those were my two best deals. The rest of them are overpriced and I got to offer less. So I will systematically make offers on those, but you see how I'm like, I basically took and I'm prioritizing, right? Of my 10 deals, which were the two that I was offering more on, I put all my focus on those, got those offers in today. Now those offers are in, I'm going to go down the list and say, okay, what are the next two that are close, right? That are reasonably close. And if they're reasonably close, I might go ahead and fully put an offer in on those. If they're a little far off, I might make a phone call and qualify and see if it's even worth my time to put the offer in. And that's how I'm going to go through this list. I'm probably only going to make offers or really go through half of these, because some of these I already kind of took off and said, like this I got one on Hog Neck Road in Pasadena, and that sucks. That was nasty. Not dealing with that one. Then I had one on Daisy Avenue. What was the deal with that one? Oh, that was on a super busy street. I mean, like crazy busy. You couldn't even hardly get in and out of it. It was a wreck, and they wanted way too much for it, so I crossed that one out. The other one was on Baltimore Street in 21227. Got rid of that one because there was a weird dude sitting on the thing. He creeped me out. I didn't want to go in the house. Thought he was going to try like some deliverance stuff going on. And there was a light rail across the street. So you won't hear me say that too much, but that was some true stuff. That guy was creepy. And I was like, if he's creeping me out, he's totally going to creep out whoever wants to buy the house. So I'm not like creepy people just sitting on their stoop is like not cool right now. Like, I really feel like that's more of a problem than ever. And then I got a couple more I still need to work on. So I got a few that I'm still working on. And what was the other one I went to get rid of? Wysina Avenue in Brooklyn, too small. Couldn't do anything with that. So that one's going. So yeah, I got rid of 4 out of 10. Still got 4 more to look at. Oh, crap. Oh, I didn't even look at that one. I just scratched the wrong one out. Shit. That was the right deal. I got to be careful when I'm scratching out. I just scratched out a good one. All right, I'll make a note. So anyhow, is there anything I can do or help you guys with in order to, like, if you're working on your houses, then obviously just stay on your contractors, keep pushing, keep trying to get things done cheaper. And if you're looking for deals, same thing, just get real concise, keep focusing, keep trying. So you basically see this will be my pattern. If I do this every week, what I'm doing now, just look at 10 properties a week, make offers on 2, and then go to the next best 2, get 3 to 4 offers in. If I do that every week, you guys will watch, I'll have a deal in a couple of weeks. I'm pretty confident of that, and maybe 2 or 3 even. So that's the plan. But I plan on doing this every week until I have deals for everyone in the group, because what I want to get back to, about a month and a half, 2 months ago, everyone had deals, and that's what we want to get back to, because we'll have some new students coming in soon. And as we have new students coming in, I want to make sure the current students are all working on deals. So, once you guys are in, you're in, and I want to make sure you all have deals. So everyone that needs a deal will have a deal, because I'm working on it. It's impossible, but a good deal. So I am being a little more patient. So if it takes a little longer, be patient with me, because I'm kind of being pickier right now than usual. Like the busy street one, I wouldn't normally worry about that, but I was like, it's a little overpriced. The street's a little weird. It's a little hard to get in and out. So I was like, I'd probably just pass on that one right now. If the deal was good and the number was right, I would have been more open to it, but I don't want to do the hard work of trying to negotiate the people down a ton of money to get a house on a weird street. So I just feel like there's too much work to be done there. If I spend all my time working on that, I can't work on the ones that are actually good. So that's kind of the thought process. Who else can I help, or, in time for another question? And if not, we're going to close everything up. I'll see you guys next week. We do have a training on Thursday. Let me tell you this before anyone's thinking of any questions they might have. So I got a really cool training on Thursday. One of the things I do every couple months is I do what's called a 15-minute action plan. And it's going to take us a lot longer to do it, but on Thursday at 4, we're going to do a training. It's a bonus training, and the action plan is really cool, because I'm going to spend some time whatever we have to do. So essentially, basically, we're just going to go through and do the action plan, walk through it, and I'm going to show you how we get real concise on how you're finding deals, what you're doing, how many hours you're spending doing it. Getting clear about the activities, the time it takes to get deals. This is really good for everyone. I personally do the same action plan myself, every couple months. It gets me more centered because I notice that I'll put a great plan together, and then after like a month or two, I get distracted and I start to like the plan's really like this. Next thing you know, I start doing this. Like there's where I end up. See how you can't see my hand anymore? Like the plan's still here. What happened to Mike? Then I got to do look every 3 months. I bring myself back like this. Say, okay, get back on the plan. So I'm going to show you how I do that. Maybe it'll take us an hour, hour and a half, whatever time it takes. I'm not going to put a time limit on it. I'll make sure you thoroughly understand it. If you look on the site, on both Facebook groups, the High Level One, the Mastermind, and the Business Mastery in the Mastermind, and you go to the file section, there's a file in the file section. You'll see it says 15-minute action plan. You can download it and you can write on it and you can do the plan along in the training. We're going to do it in real life. You're going to start it. We're going to all have it done by the end of the training. Okay. Any questions you have. So if you guys, whoever is planning on coming to do that, if you could take some time with that, get some questions ahead of time, make sure you just interact as much as possible so you can actually do it in real life. That would be really helpful for me. And then I'll be able to answer any questions you have. And you'll walk away with a really good plan of being even clearer, which is kind of cool. And Kim said, do you think that if I gave you access to my MLS, that you might be able to help see if I'm missing anything with that? Yes. If you want to do that next week, we can do that for sure. So I don't really know how to use your MLS. So I would have to say you might need to do it because I probably don't know how to use your MLS and that might take too long. But if you want to take control on our next call, we could certainly look through your MLS and, we let the whole group look at it and see if there's anything we're missing. I would say that I've been doing a lot of studying on like Portland and Washington and stuff. And you guys just have a little different economy there. That's all. You don't have as many foreclosures. You're in a more rural area. So you're not in a big city. Big city foreclosures come from certain demographics, like poor. Essentially, you're going to, if you're in areas that are very poor, a lot of grants. And when I say poor, I mean like just, overspending and acting stupid. Some people make $100,000 a year and are poor, but they're just really spending their money in a dumb way. Which basically, just so you know, I'm not talking crap about those people because I've been there and sometimes I wonder. I mean, I don't think I even showed you guys this. Look at this. You're going to love this. Don't ever let me talk shit about anything ever. This is what I found when I was cleaning my house out. This is a check for $86,000, $839.08 from 2017. It never got cash from a settlement. So you ever hear me talk shit about anyone, just say, hey, Mike, you're so dumb you found a check sitting in your closet for $86,000 that I have not cashed.
Damn, what are you going to do about that?
Well, legally it should be an escrow and I should be able to get the money, but I'm not feeling overly confident about it. The first thing I looked was make sure this title company was in business. They're actually a really big title company. I could not find in my QuickBooks anywhere where they had paid me the money later. Usually what happens in a situation like this, if you don't cash the check, when they reconcile their accounts at the end of the year, because they have an escrow that they have to balance out, they usually will be like, hey, and send you a check. But I went through my QuickBooks and I could not find a check for this amount anywhere. So it doesn't look like they paid me. But I've been calling them and emailing them. They're obviously, oh, we're closed, we're this, we're that. Then they're not really. So I'm just going to stay on them. If they have not paid me the money, I don't know what I'm going to do because I've never been in this place before. I'm hoping that they've paid me the money and I just can't find it. And if not, then I'm hoping I get a check for $86,000, which I'd be more than happy to do. The bigger issue is, like I told you guys, how I fired my bookkeeper and how I'm doing all my stuff, and I've put together some really strong controls right now. It's because of this. This is like, when you got a lot going on, you can miss a check for $86,000, and that's insane to have that happen. Forget that check. That check represents like a million other little leaks in my business that if $86,000 can go through the cracks, how do I have any shot at stopping $100 a month from going through the cracks, right? Or a gym membership going through the cracks? I mean, seriously, right? There's no way of stopping that. So this is important. And like, this isn't as relevant to everyone on the call, because if you're doing one flip, you can be really good about watching every little penny. But when you do start to scale your business, this is more what we talk about in the higher level group. So me and Ray right now are actually building out a really strong bookkeeping system with a lot of controls in place, specifically just for house flippers. Really, really awesome way of doing your books, everything in there. So that way, you can use your books as a tool to run your business and manage your money and grow wealth. Because like, this is what we're doing here. We're not just making money to live, we're trying to grow wealth. And if you can really, really take your money and make it and grow wealth with it, have to pay yourself, So we never had to do this before because this is not something anybody who's doing one flip really wants to talk about. But it's something that when we're doing like 10 or 20 flips a year, we should be talking about, but no one wants to talk about at that level either, really, because it's boring, right? But it's the difference in being able to like be very, very rich. Like I interviewed my hard money lender who's worth about $6 or $7 million. And he told me the secret to how he built all his wealth is he's like, I've never made anywhere near what you make even. But he's like, the difference is every time I make $1, I take and put a quarter away and I save it. And it's been compounding over the years. And then as I saved that quarter of every dollar I made, and I started investing in tax sales and rentals and, other things. And he's like, 30 years of that, I've got a lot of money. And that's how simple it is. I just never always make $1, put a quarter away. And I feel like, I don't think a lot of us do that. Right. So it's something to take a lesson from him. And, I have a lot of respect for him. And also my other lender, Gary, who I think Petey's working with, right? Maybe. I think Petey's working with him.
Yeah, we're working with him.
Yeah. So his dad is like 80 something maybe. And he told me the same thing. He's like, yep, yeah, they're both Jewish, by the way. So I don't know if it's like a Jewish community thing, but probably so. Probably something they really, share in their community as just like a wealth building strategy. But he told me the same thing. He actually used the exact same words. Like I take a quarter out of every dollar. And, so over the years we make money, we'd save some of it. You don't have to save it all. You don't have to be broke or, live poor or anything, but it's just a little different, right? I feel like in American culture, we're taught to make $1, spend $1.10, and then figure it out later. Buy things on credit, and we don't even actually have. So we're often spending at a higher rate than we're actually making. And their belief system is just figure out how to live very frugally, and make up $200K a year, make 150, but then put a quarter of that every year away. And that's how you end up with millions of dollars. So I'm getting ready to work on that. I did not do that in my first 10 years of house flipping. I always just made money. I built put it back into my business, but I've really invested a lot of money in coaching and learning. So, that's the good news of that is I get to share a lot of cool stuff with you guys, and I'm glad I'm capable of that. But my next 10 years, I'm 43 now. So I'd like by the time I'm, 55 or 53 to really focus on wealth building. And I'm probably not going to do it totally through like rentals because I don't really like the Ponzi scheme of rentals right now. Right? And shit like this makes me nervous, right? This is kind of stuff. Now, I'm not telling you I'm not going to buy a rental and I'm not going to put some rentals as part of that wealth building. I'm just not going to make it the only strategy. So, cash, rentals, a lot of things you can use to use your money. Hard money lending. I'm just going to start saving and growing my money. If I can get to where with the money I have coming in and out of my business, if I was just to put a quarter away for every dollar I made, it wouldn't take me even 10 years to be very wealthy. So that's why I'm getting my books together, finding this $86,000. Maybe this will be my seed money if I can get it and get rid of any stuff that I don't need to be doing right now. So I was shocked when I found this. I also found a Fitbit that I thought someone stole. So that was kind of cool. So just call somebody and apologize because I feel like 3 people might have taken it. So somebody like randomly packed my stuff up. That's what I got to figure out who did that. It's like took important documents and they like put them in this box that was in my attic. And I'm like, I personally would have never put anything that looked like a check in a box and then put it in my attic. Someone just kind of randomly cleaned up and threw it somewhere. And I don't know who did that, but it wasn't me because I would just leave it sitting there. Something this important, I would not throw in a box. But it got put in a box and that's how I lost it. So anyhow, I don't know. We'll see if I get it back. I mean, yeah, man, I could have a creative story for you. I hope not. I hope they just actually give me the money or prove to me they paid it to me. Either way is fine. I just don't want to think I got $86,000 sitting out there. I don't think there's a statute of limitations on it. Technically, they owe me the money, and I could always go back to the person that bought it and be like, hey, I got to put a lien on your house because the title company didn't pay me. That would start a lot of shit. So that would get probably them to pay me. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'll let you guys know. No one's responding right now.
Yeah, I'm definitely curious about what happens with that.
Yeah, me too, man. I'm sitting here like, yeah, I ain't never dealt with that before. So I don't know how it's going to go down. I'm hoping that, like I said, I hope I was paid the money and that's just a mistake, a bookkeeping mistake. It ain't looking like it though, because the fact I can't find it and this check has definitely not been cashed. It is super clean. It looks like I got it yesterday. Look at it, man. It's like don't even have a blotch on it. It's from 2017, 8/22/17.
Hey, well, on the upside, at least when you get through it, you could advertise it on your new coaching, like, you know, how to catch a check from 3 years ago.
Dude, that makes me look stupid. I'm going to keep that private between us. I don't know if that's good for business. Like, hey, are you finding checks? Are you so stupid you're finding checks in your attic? 86,000? If so, click the link below. That would help you stop doing that, because I just figured it out myself a week ago. Like, I'll teach it to you now. No, man, I'm probably keep that between us. We're like family and friends. I'll share it with you guys, but I don't know if I'm going to be like doing any Facebook ads on that one. That one's like, I'm just like, when I seen it, I was shocked. I was like, are you serious? Like, what in the world? Again, it's 3 years ago, so it totally could have been. It's like, could have like wrote us a check 6 months later. And when they, you know, like if we got it on 8/22, they would reconcile their accounts after the first of the year, and usually they would send a check. And they could have done that. It just didn't show up anywhere. And I really have dug through the books and could not find it. So yeah, we'll see, man. I'll let you guys know. Anything before we go that, you know, last minute stuff? And I told you about, you know, Thursday, obviously we're doing that. Love if everyone can come. I think it'll be really valuable use of your time. A little extra bonus training. Oh, also on the 17th, let me just check the dates, but Saturday and Sunday on the 17th, I did put that up, and let me just double check that very quickly. Let's see. Let me check the dates real quick and see. Just want to confirm. Oh yeah, so not the 17th, so it'd be the 18th and 19th, Saturday and Sunday. I put it up on the Facebook groups, and we're going to be doing a 2-day training for the 3-day training we're going to do. I'm going to condense it into 2 days. We're going to be doing like 9:30 to like 3. It's going to be online and recorded. We'll have some breaks in between, so you guys can actually eat lunch and you can do whatever. It'll be a Zoom call, much like this. There'll be quite a few people on. You know, I'm thinking 30 or 40 people probably total. And we're going to get into some cool stuff. So it's just another bonus training. It doesn't really take the place of what you guys are already signed up for. I just don't know when we're going to be able to do it live. So I don't want you guys waiting until we can do it live, if that makes sense. And like Kim said earlier, and for some people, this might even be more convenient because you can do it from home and it will be recorded. So you can actually participate. You can watch the recordings later, and I'll make sure all that's, you know, you'll have access to that on your Teachable account. So that's the stuff we got coming up. You know, right now we kind of have infield trainings on hold, but if you guys have any suggestions of some things you would like to learn in field, you know, a small group of us can either do it, or we did do one like last week at Dave's house, you know, so a small group of us can either go, or I can do video with you. So if you guys need any advice, or if you want to just see me go through a house and estimate, anything you want, let me know. And you know, just post it up in the group and say, hey man, would love to learn more about this or see more of that. You know, I'm here for you. Just tell me, and I'll make sure we get that training out. So if you guys want to just, you know, give me some feedback on that, I'll make sure we do it. Okay. And it says in the 15-minute plan, is it in the resource library? It is not, David. It's on Facebook on the page, and you go to file, right? It says files. If you're on the Facebook page, and you'll see a bunch of files there. You can just download it from there. I put it on the mastermind group and on the business mastery too, for anyone who's in the higher level group. So yeah, if you go to Facebook group, it's going to be in files. Okay. I haven't put it in resource library yet because I just kind of finished it the other day. Tanya made it look beautiful, so she just finished it. I always had like an ugly version of it that I've been using, but she made a really sexy version for you guys. It actually looks like she's really a very good designer. Looks really nice. Yeah, if you go in there, you'll definitely find it's clearly there. Okay. And it should be, I posted it like, I don't know, the other day, 2 days ago, probably. So it's there. And if you have any problems, feel free to text me and I'll help you get to it. So, yep, it's there. And yeah, we're going to do that. And then we're going to do that. We're going to do the 3-day training in a couple weeks, or 2-day training in a couple weeks. And if there's any infield stuff you would like me to do, or you know, seeing houses, whatever it might be, give me feedback and I'll make sure that we do it. Because I want to kind of pump up our training a little bit right now, because I feel like people are home more. You guys have more time to kind of dive in and really get better at your craft. So I just think it's a really good time right now to pump training up. I also think that when we're in times of crisis, that, you know, the way we overcome crisis is to be smarter and to be better at what we do. You know, people don't stop flipping in times like this. They just, you know, only good people stay flipping. People who are insecure and not great at flipping, you probably should either get better or quit for a while. So that is my advice. But if you're following the rules that I teach within this group and you're really taking everything to a next level, it is a very good time to flip right now. A lot of opportunity. just a lot of good things happening, right? So, but it does require you kind of learning your craft and really working hard at it. So that's why I want to do some additional training so I can hopefully inspire you guys to take it to the next level, really tighten some things up, get better. And but just let me know what you want to do. Okay. So if you guys want to post that to the mastermind group or the higher level, whatever one you're in, I'll see it. Make sure you tag me when you're in there so I see it. And then we'll put some extra training together. Okay. Everyone, I'll see you guys on Thursday if you can make it. And otherwise, I'll see you next Tuesday. Okay. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, Mike.
All right. See you guys.